Chapter 6039. If you want to advance to heaven rank, the minimum requirement is the Earth expansion stage. Then, you have to complete enough missions with a high success rate. The guy that Master Lin killed didn't advance to heaven rank because he didn't complete enough missions. Thinking about how Lin Yi had killed an expert in the intermediate stage of the Earth expansion stage, this guy really couldn't muster up any thoughts of resistance. Where is the hidden death sect located in the East Continent? Draw me a map. Lin Yi didn't have the ability to deal with the hidden death sect now, but he might not be able to in the future. If these guys were to pester him, he would go to their lair and solve the problem once and for all when he became stronger. Master Lin, I don't know the exact location of the hidden death sect. This guy was about to cry. He also wanted to cooperate with Lin Yi, but he really couldn't answer these questions. We all return to the headquarters through the teleportation circle, and the teleportation circle is located in a small town in the East Continent. You have to prove that you're from the hidden death sect to pass through. I can draw a map for you, Master Lin. In order not to provoke Lin Yi, this guy wrote and drew on the ground very quickly, drawing the big cities around the town. Basically, he knew the exact location of the town, and then explained in detail how to get to the teleportation circle and the connection method. Lin Yi took a look and remembered it. This hidden death sect seemed to be quite mysterious. If they didn't provoke him, he wouldn't bother to make such a powerful enemy. However, if they were to pester him, Lin Yi would definitely uproot the hidden death sect after he became stronger in the future. Master Lin, I've told you everything I know. If you're satisfied, why don't you let me go? This hidden death sect assassin raised his head and looked at Lin Yi carefully, hoping that his cooperation could move him. Although this guy knew that he didn't reveal much information, he still hoped that Lin Yi would let him go if he was happy. When did I say that I would let you go? You taking the initiative to say it is only to save yourself from the pain of having your soul searched. Now, you can go on your way in peace. Lin Yi glanced at the assassin indifferently. He would never let this guy go and find more assassins to deal with him. In the past, Lin Yi had also been an assassin. Of course, he knew that failing the mission would only cause more and more powerful assassins to continue the mission. However, if these two assassins were to disappear, there would at least be a buffer time for Lin Yi to prepare before the hidden death sect could confirm the situation. The assassin was slightly startled, but he didn't continue to beg for mercy. He didn't care about his life or death. As long as he didn't suffer the pain of having his soul searched, he didn't care if he died. Lin Yi raised his hand and waved. The soul-reaping hand sucked his primordial spirit into the space within the jade pendant. At the same time, he also took this guy's storage bag. He used his divine sense to sweep through it. Apart from the spirit jade card and some spirit jades, there were only some healing and recovery pills. There was nothing particularly precious. Languza, this storage bag is for you. It's your spoils of war. It will be more convenient for you to bring food in the future. Lin Yi put some spirit jade cards and a few pieces of earth opening stage sea beast's meat into it. Then he threw the storage bag to Languza. Languza, of course, wouldn't stand on ceremony with Lin Yi. He thanked him with a chuckle and put the storage bag away. Boss, what should we do now? Should we rest here or continue on our way? Languza looked around. After this island was ravaged by the thunder burial, it had become dilapidated. However, there was no problem for him to rest. Most importantly, because of the great battle earlier, no one knew where those few flying spiritual beasts had flown to. If they wanted to continue on their journey, they could only let Languza transform back into his true form and travel through the sea. In this way, it was only right for them to rest a little. You should stabilize your strength first. Then we will go. Lin Yi didn't want to stay any longer. However, Languza had just broken through. It would be too hasty if they hurried on their way. Languza, of course, didn't have any objection. He immediately sat down cross-legged and began to cultivate. After half an hour, he finished stabilizing his strength after breaking through. Then he jumped up from the ground. Boss, let's go. Languza said and changed back to his real body. Then he directly fell into the sea. Lin Yi jumped on Languza's back. After identifying the direction, he finally set foot on the way back. Boss, I didn't say anything wrong, right? My speed is much faster than those two stupid birds. If I had carried you back earlier, maybe we wouldn't have met those two killers. After Languza's breakthrough, his speed had greatly improved. Compared to the previous two flying spirit beasts, he was at least twice faster. It was no wonder that he began to boast. Don't attract the attention of the Earth opening stage sea beasts. We have many more enemies in the sea than on land. Lin Yi didn't dare to have the slightest carelessness. He spread out his divine sense to the limit. Although Lin Yi had killed many powerful sea beasts in the war on the extreme North Island, if he really encountered an Earth opening stage sea beast in this place, it would be more dangerous than the two killers of the hidden death sect. After moving forward for thousands of miles, Lin Yi's divine sense found another flying spirit beast chasing them. Its speed was even faster than Languza. It was obviously much more advanced than the two killers of the extreme North Island. Languza, we seem to be in trouble again. Lin Yi looked back indifferently. He had a hunch that the flying spirit beast was definitely coming for him, but he didn't know which side it was from. Boss, who is so blind to actually come looking for trouble with us? Languza had begun to get excited. If someone was looking for trouble, it meant that he could fight again. The battle with the killer of the hidden death sect gave Languza a taste of sweetness. Now he was hoping that someone would come looking for trouble, and at the same time, he could practice his skills. This kind of free practice partner was not easy to find. Therefore, Languza seemed to be very angry, but in fact, he was very welcoming of trouble in his heart. Maybe it's along the way. Let's slow down first and wait for them to catch up. Lin Yi smiled faintly, and his divine sense continued to lock on the flying spirit beast. There were two people riding on it. One of them was a little familiar to Lin Yi. After thinking about it carefully, he remembered that it was the mountain opening stage master who followed Lin Yi after the Gathering Gods branch auction. Chapter 6040. When this guy realized that the situation wasn't right, he immediately left, so Lin Yi didn't care. Lin Yi didn't expect him to be among the people chasing him. Lin Yi had never seen the other person on the flying spirit beast before. His strength seemed to be around the mountain opening consummation. Two mountain opening stage cultivators. You're really looking down on me. Boss, can you hand them over to me? Languza's consciousness wasn't any weaker than Lin Yi's at all, so he had already seen through his opponent's strength. He immediately wanted to pull both of them into his hands. Beating them up like that would be the best way to enjoy it. The flying spirit beasts they're riding are also at the mountain opening stage. Don't underestimate your opponents. After seeing the power of the Earth opening stage, Lin Yi really didn't have any fear for the mountain opening stage cultivators. Especially since Languza's strength could easily defeat a mountain opening stage cultivator, there was even less to worry about. I don't know if flying spirit beasts taste good. Boss, do you want to try barbecuing flying spirit beasts? Languza laughed and didn't care about the pursuers behind him at all. Isn't it just 3 mountain opening stage cultivators? What's so great about it? Fighting is only interesting when there are many opponents. After Lin Yi and Languza consciously slowed down, the flying spirit beasts quickly caught up and blocked in front of them. As expected, Lin Yi's premonition was right. They were coming for him. Good dogs don't block the way. Who are the two of you? How dare you stop me and my boss? Languza roared. He was already itching to fight at the slightest disagreement. Master Lin, I'm sorry for disturbing you. Please forgive me. The flying spirit beasts hovered half a meter above the sea, and their flapping wings created waves. The mountain opening stage cultivator in front smiled and greeted Lin Yi with his fists cupped. He didn't seem to have any evil intentions. Languza was secretly unhappy. Aren't they here to fight? Isn't that a waste of my feelings? They're really asking for a beating. Who are you two? What business do you have with me? As the saying goes, one does not hit a smiling person. Since the other party was polite, Lin Yi could only smile and cup his fists. We're from the blissful valley of the East Continent. I'm Hao Zili, and this is Min Huichen. With a smile on his face, Hao Zili introduced himself and Min Huichen, who had chased after Lin. For now, the two of them did not show any hostility at all. It was as if they were old friends who had come to send Lin Yi off. However, in reality, as Lin Yi, he had never seen the two of them face to face. He had only seen Min Huichen as Mu Shuang. Originally, when we were on the extreme North Island, we wanted to visit Master Lin. Unfortunately, you had been refining pills in seclusion with Master Li Zhao. When we finally came out, we heard that you had left the extreme North Island, so we could only chase after you. Fortunately, we didn't miss Master Lin. When Hao Zili saw that Lin didn't speak, he explained the reason for chasing after him. However, he still didn't say why he was looking for Lin. Cut the crap. Can't you see that boss and I are in a hurry? Languza raised his body impatiently and flew above the flying spirit beast that was hovering above the sea. He was not used to being looked down upon by someone from a high position. Hao Zili didn't care. He still maintained a polite but alienated smile. He nodded slightly to Languza and continued, I want to discuss something with Master Lin. Although it's not very formal to talk about it here, we have no choice but to make do with it. Mr. Hao, if you have something to say, please say it. We don't have much time. Lin Yi smiled slightly. He wondered if Hao Zili wanted to ask him to refine pills. If it was just to refine pills, it was not impossible to discuss. Seeing that their flying spirit beasts were extremely fast, they could go to the extreme North Island first. It was not a problem to save time to refine pills. Then I won't stand on ceremony. This time, we're here to ask Master Lin to part with the God-gathering branch that you've obtained. As for the price, we won't let you lose out. Hao Zili looked at Lin Yi with a smile, but there was a hint of murderous intent in his words. Lin Yi's face turned cold. The God-gathering branch was what he used to save Han Jingjing. How dare these two bastards want it? But the problem was, how did they know that the God-gathering branch was in Lin Yi's hands? With the special nature of the mortal world phenomenon, Mu Shuang's identity would never be seen through by two people at the mountain opening period. You two seem to have made a mistake. Although I also want the God-gathering branch, I didn't get it. You seem to have found the wrong person to trade with me. Lin Yi looked calm, but he was ready to fight. Since these two people from Bliss Valley came to him directly, they were basically sure that Mu Shuang was Lin Yi. Otherwise, they would not easily offend an advanced alchemist of the profound stage 2nd level. Master Lin, we don't lie in front of real people. Whether the God-gathering branch is in your hands or not, we all have a tacit understanding. Now we are willing to pay a higher price than the auction, which is enough to show our sincerity. Hao Zili still maintained that hypocritical smile, but his words were no longer as polite as before. Master Lin, are you wondering why we know that Mu Shuang is you? Min Huichen, who had been silent all this time, suddenly interrupted. In fact, it's very simple. The day before, you just bid for the mortal world phenomenon, and then the next day, a Mu Shuang that no one knows appeared. Mu Shuang? Lin, what an obvious hint, right? In addition, although Master Lin removed the divine sense imprint that I left, the spirit tempering pill that you went to the auction house to auction is still recorded. In the entire northern island, except for Li Zhaoyi and you, Lin Yi, who else can refine the spirit tempering pill? Lin Yi was speechless. This was indeed a loophole. When he left the northern island, he did not go to the auction house to settle the auction price of the spirit tempering pill. On the one hand, he did not lack the spirit jades, and on the other hand, he did not want to expose his relationship with Mu Shuang. He did not expect that in the eyes of those with ulterior motives, the seemingly rigorous plan was simply full of loopholes. But it didn't matter. Anyway, the God-gathering branch was in his hands. Even if others knew that Mu Shuang was Lin Yi, so what? It was just two mountain opening stage. Languza felt that there were too few opponents to satisfy him. I don't know what you are talking about. Get out of the way, don't hinder me. Although Lin Yi was not afraid of these two guys, he did not need to make enemies everywhere, not to mention that they had not taken the initiative to make a move. Chapter 6041. Boss, what exactly is the Blissful Valley? A high-class latrine pit? That's a good way to put it. Every time I eat too much, my stomach hurts. After I excrete, I feel extremely happy. In short, it's called blissful. That's what you mean, right? The reason why Languza deliberately humiliated the Blissful Valley was not only because he couldn't stand Hao Zili's pretentious act, but also because he wanted to provoke the other party so that he could start the fight quickly. Lin Yi secretly laughed. Did Languza have a time when he ate too much? There was never a time when he had enough. You're courting death. Hao Zili's face darkened. He put away his hypocritical smile and raised his hand to punch Languza. A mere early-stage sea serpent dragon. Did he think that he was invincible in the sea? There were two of them and a flying spirit beast here. None of them were weaker than Languza. If Hao Zili knew that two of the hidden Death Sect's Earth-grade assassins had been killed by Lin Yi and Languza not long ago, he probably wouldn't have had the thought of fighting. Languza, I'll leave it to you. Same rules, finish it quickly. Lin Yi smiled faintly. His eyes revealed a hint of coldness. Since the other party had made a move, there was no need to be polite. Boss, don't worry. Leave it to me. Languza roared excitedly. He finally got what he wanted. He could finally show off his skills. Lin Yi tapped his feet and leaped into the air. He let Languza display his strength to his heart's content. He only needed to support Languza from the side. Hao Zili's fist was blocked in midair by a condensed ball of water. Amidst the loud explosion, Languza's huge head passed through the splashing water and appeared in front of Hao Zili in an instant. The flying spirit beast let out a shrill cry and flapped its wings. In an instant, it rose several feet and barely avoided Languza's sudden attack. If it wasn't for the advantage of speed, this flying spirit beast and Hao Zili would have been slapped into the sea by Languza. How is this possible? It's actually so powerful. Hao Zili was shocked. Although his fist had defeated Languza's ball of water, it was still faintly numb. It could be seen that Languza's fighting strength was not inferior to his. Min Huichen had originally wanted to attack Lin, who was in midair. Now that the situation was bad, she could only team up with Hao Zili to deal with Languza. Amidst the sonorous dragon roar, countless water pillars soared into the sky, forming a huge cage that constantly suppressed the space that Hao Zili and the others could move in. In just a breath's time, the flying-type spirit beast was already in a sorry state. If Hao Zili and Min Huichen had not joined hands to block the many water pillars, perhaps it would have been hit by Languza's water pillar cage. When did Languza learn this move? You're really quite powerful. Lin Yi was secretly surprised. His body used true chi ejection to fly far away. He casually found a box from the space in the jade pendant and threw it into the sea. Then he lightly landed on it. The situation in the water pillar cage could no longer be seen with the naked eye. Fortunately, Lin Yi's divine sense could still clearly feel all the changes. With Languza's strength, although he currently had some advantage, he could not immediately turn it into a victory. In reality, the reason why Languza was able to gain the upper hand was mostly because of his home ground in the ocean and this unexpected move. In terms of true combat power, he was still far from being able to suppress 3 mountain opening stage powerhouses at the same time. Haha, do you know how powerful your Uncle Lon is now? There are even more powerful ones coming soon. Take this. Lin Yi could hear Languza's complacent laughter from afar. It seemed like this guy was rather satisfied with the fight. Moreover, during the fight, Languza's aura was clearly gradually increasing. Previously, on the small island, Languza had only initially stabilized his cultivation after advancing. It seemed like he had not completely digested the knowledge that the Fire Phoenix had passed on to him. Now, through the intense battle, Languza's strength was further increasing. Perhaps there was not much hope for him to increase another level and break through to the peak of the early mountain opening stage, but at least he could completely stabilize his strength at the early mountain opening stage and have the opportunity to improve further at any time. As for the intense battle in the water pillar cage, Lin Yi did not pay much attention to it. After confirming that Languza could handle it, he released most of his divine sense to monitor the movements in the surrounding sea. After all, this was the territory of the sea beasts. The shockwaves from the battle could very likely attract the attention of the sea beasts. Reality proved that Lin Yi's worries were not unfounded. In just a short period of time, there was already a sea beast rapidly approaching them. Moreover, its strength was not low, reaching the peak of the mid-mountain opening stage. Once the sea beast discovered Lin Yi and Languza, they would probably have a lot of trouble for the rest of their journey unless they killed the sea beast quickly. However, Lin Yi was not sure if there were other sea beasts rushing over. After all, the ocean had many sea beasts. No matter what, Lin Yi did not wish for the appearance of the sea beast to disturb Languza's rapid increase in strength. Thus, he jumped lightly and put away the box in the water. Then he shot out a bolt of lightning towards the sea beast. After a few flashes, Lin Yi and the sea beast at the peak of the mid-mountain opening stage collided head-on. The flames of the wild 8-trigram palm exploded. The sea beast at the peak of the mid-mountain opening stage revealed a faint look of disdain. Using a fire-type martial technique in the sea? Is this guy's brain broken? Doesn't he know that most sea beasts are water-type? Originally, Lin Yi's lightning escape technique made this sea beast somewhat fearful. It did not expect him to use a fire-type martial technique in the fight. Furthermore, it was such a simple and low-level martial technique. Immediately, some contempt rose in its heart. It was likely that it had not heard of Li Zaixiang and the Fire Phoenix exterminating the 100-kilometer sea beast tide with a single indefinite flame tide. Otherwise, it would definitely not look down on Lin Yi. The initial wild 8-trigram palm was indeed not very high level. However, this was a new martial technique that Lin Yi had created after combining two martial techniques. All the subsequent tricks needed to be deduced and comprehended by him. As his strength increased, its power naturally became stronger. It was easy to be invincible among those of the same rank, and it was quite practical to fight against those of a higher rank. The reason why he chose to use the wild 8-trigram palm in the sea was to verify the thoughts in Lin Yi's heart. When he was fighting with the wind tiger, he found that the wild 8-trigram palm was more powerful than before. It was true that water could subdue fire, but in a situation where it was like trying to put out a cart of firewood with a cup of water, fire could also burn water dry. The sea beast had contempt in its heart, so its attacks were somewhat casual. Against a human cultivator at the peak of the late profound ascension stage who used a fire-type martial technique, it really did not need to be on tenterhooks. Chapter 6042. Human ants, there is no place for you to survive in the ocean. The sea beast mocked, but in the next moment, it was unable to continue. Endless flames instantly spread across the surface of the 10-meter-tall wave. The closer it got to Lin Yi's body, the weaker the wave became. In the end, it completely dissipated, leaving only a large amount of dense fog drifting with the wind. Lin Yi's momentum did not change. The sea beast's attack did not hinder him at all, and the power of the frenzied fire 8-trigrams palm also rose to the extreme. There was no loud bang. Because it misjudged Lin Yi's strength, the sea beast did not even have time to react. It watched as Lin Yi's palm landed on its forehead. The violent flames did not erupt immediately, but completely entered its body like a tide. If it was a normal fire-type martial art, not to mention entering its body, it would be completely extinguished when it landed on its skin. However, Lin Yi's frenzied fire 8-trigrams palm was obviously not as simple as it looked on the surface. When the sea beast realized that it was too careless, it was already too late to turn back. The violent flames burned the meridians in the sea beast's body. A powerful existence at the peak of the mid-mountain opening stage was like an ant in front of Lin. It could not even block one move and died. Lin Yi let out a breath of impure air. He was quite satisfied. The frenzied fire 8-trigrams palm was a martial art skill that he was very comfortable with. Previously, he felt that it was a little useless when facing opponents of a higher level than him, but now, its power did not feel like it was a waste to abandon it. Lin Yi did not let go of the mid-mountain opening stage sea beast's corpse. He directly stored it in the space of the jade pendant. After all, if he left it alone, it would only attract more sea beasts. Lin Yi's divine sense swept back to Languza's side. The water pillar cage was still trapping Hao Zili and the others. However, the two of them and the flying spiritual beast were all experts after all. After a short panic, they had now stabilized their position and were evenly matched with Languza. Looks like there's no way to determine the winner in a short period of time. Languza's strength has also increased to the limit. Lin Yi calculated in his heart. Continuing to stay here was obviously more harmful than beneficial. It was time to break the balance between the two sides. Languza, we need to leave immediately. Put in more effort to kill them. Amidst the flickering lightning arcs, Lin Yi once again returned to the edge of the battle. He raised his hand and sent a dozen or so lightning arcs as thick as an arm into the water pillar cage. These lightning arcs were not enough to cause fatal damage, but if they came into contact with even the slightest bit of them, they would definitely cause numbness and slow down the other party's movements. It was perfect for breaking a stalemate. Boss, I'm sorry, I couldn't finish the battle quickly. When Languza saw Lin Yi helping out, he immediately felt a little ashamed. He said that he would be able to finish this quickly by himself, but in the end, he still had to ask his boss for help. How could he have the face to ask for a fight in the future? With this thought in mind, Languza exploded with 120% of his strength. With the help of Lin Yi's lightning arcs, he instantly controlled the situation. Hao Zili and Min Huichen were instantly flustered and looked extremely flustered. Stop, Master Lin, please stop. This time, it's our fault, please forgive us for offending you. Hao Zili, who was trembling in fear, hurriedly opened his mouth to beg for peace. He completely forgot how arrogant he had been previously. Master Lin, the Paradise Valley is willing to become friends with Master Lin. We don't have any deep hatred between us, it's really just a misunderstanding. As soon as Hao Zili admitted defeat, Min Huichen also hurriedly admitted defeat. It was not easy to cultivate to the mountain opening stage. There was no need to lose her life for some insignificant matters and face. The spirit gathering branch was good, but one needed to be alive to use it. Languza did not care about these two fellows admitting defeat. As long as boss did not say anything, he would continue to fight until he killed them. Stop resisting immediately, or I will kill you. Lin Yi appeared beside Languza like a ghost and looked coldly at Hao Zili and Min Huichen. If it was not for the fact that he had sensed two more sea beasts approaching at high speed, Lin Yi would definitely not have stopped. Since more and more sea beasts had noticed the fluctuations of the battle here, it was really not suitable for them to continue staying here. Hao Zili and Min Huichen felt a chill in their hearts. After looking at each other, they obediently stopped resisting. Languza alone was enough to fight against them. With the addition of Lin Yi, if they did not surrender, they would only last for a few breaths at most. Lin Yi flipped his hand and took out 3 black elixirs. These were poisons that he had casually refined when he was practicing, and they were suitable to control those who were afraid of death. Eat this poison. As long as I am satisfied with your performance, I will naturally give you the antidote. Lin Yi bluntly told them that this was poison. If they wanted to live, they had no choice. Hao Zili and Min Huichen looked at each other again and saw the helplessness in each other's eyes. People under the eaves had no choice but to lower their heads. If they wanted to live, they had to first hand over their lives. Both of them were considered to be decisive people. They knew that they could not resist, so they simply took the poison elixirs and swallowed them. The flying spirit beast also ate one. Languza, get on the flying spirit beast. Lin Yi called out and was the first to jump on the flying spirit beast. Languza immediately transformed into his human form and jumped on the flying spirit beast. The back of this mountain-opening spirit beast was quite spacious. It was more than enough for 4 people to ride on it. This was also one of the reasons why Lin Yi did not continue to kill them. With the flying spirit beast, it would be easier to get rid of the sea beasts. Go! In Lin Yi's divine sense, it was no longer just 2 sea beasts approaching, but more than a dozen. If they did not leave quickly, their whereabouts would be completely exposed. Hao Zili felt aggrieved, but he did not dare to show any expression. He hurriedly signaled the flying spirit beast to follow Lin Yi's instructions. The poison was not a joke. As soon as it was swallowed, it could feel the power of it. The flying spirit beast let out a low cry, flapped its wings, and quickly flew south. Although there were 2 more people, it did not affect its speed. After a while, the sea beasts that had gathered had completely disappeared from the range of Lin Yi's consciousness. Some of the sea beasts they met along the way weren't interested in flying spirit beasts during the mountain opening period, and so the journey to the North Island had been smooth and uneventful. Although Lin Yi was anxious to return to the Middle Island, Since he had come to the North Island on the way, he had to stay for a while to visit Shanghai Tianhua, find the Ragged King to refine the Go Speed Wings, and see if he could speed up the fusion of the starry sky flowing flame gold with the flying saucer. Chapter 6043. Master Lin, do you think we can follow you around? It'll be easier for us to listen to your teachings. We're not in a rush to go back to Dongzhou anyways. Since you have this plan, just bring us along when the time comes. Hao Zili smiled carefully, hoping that Master Lin would allow them to stay. The poison was so powerful. If Lin Yi didn't go to the East Continent within a year, they would be poisoned to death. Who could they blame then? Even if Lin Yi really went to the East Continent, who knew whether he could find them or not? Therefore, the safest way was to follow Lin Yi closely. Senior brother Hao is right. We're willing to follow Master Lin. We can run errands and do chores for you. We'll definitely do it well for Master Lin. Min Huichen also expressed her opinion. She and Hao Zili had the same idea. They had to follow Lin Yi no matter what. If they stayed in front of Lin Yi every day, maybe they could detoxify them when they were in a good mood. Go back to the East Continent? They couldn't find anyone to help them. Lin Yi scratched his head. He really didn't want to take these two followers. He spared their lives because he wanted a flying spirit beast that could move fast to leave the place quickly. However, on second thought, he felt it was not bad to have these two experts in the mountain opening stage as followers. He didn't need to worry about many things, and he had enough manpower and ability to complete them. Well, since you want to follow me, then follow me. But now you have to wait here obediently. You're not allowed to step into the North Island. Do you understand me? Without much hesitation, Lin Yi arranged for the two people and the flying spirit beast to wait for him on the beach. Then they would go back to the middle island together. Don't worry, Master Lin. We won't run around. We'll wait here. Hao Zili and Min Huichen bowed respectfully. They were satisfied to stay. As for the antidote, they would get it eventually. Since Lin didn't want them to follow him to the North Island, they could stay here. Anyway, there was nothing to visit in a remote place like the North Island. That's right. In the eyes of the East Continent, the North Island was a remote place. The density of spiritual qi and the average level of strength were not worth mentioning. That was to say, the leader of the sky-reaching pavilion, Shanghai Tianhua, was a great figure. When Lin Yi returned to the North Island, the first person he wanted to visit was Tianhua, and he would like to inquire about Shanghai Laner's departure time. In the reception hall of the sky-reaching pavilion, a young disciple stood respectfully beside Lin Yi and said, "Senior brother Lin, I'm sorry. The leader and the lady are meeting guests now. It's not convenient for them to see you now. If you have time tonight, the leader would like to invite you over for a chat." Although Lin Yi was a disciple of the Blue Cloud Pavilion, he was like a legend among the younger generation of the whole North Island. His reputation was almost as high as that of Ram Jie of the Law Enforcement Hall. Therefore, this disciple dared not to slight Lin. "Since the leader is not free, I'll visit again tonight. Thank you for informing me, junior brother." Lin Yi stood up and slightly cupped his fists at the disciple of the sky-reaching pavilion. Then he left the pavilion with Languza. "Big brother, is this so-called leader very powerful? I can't even meet him." Languza muttered with slight displeasure. In his mind, no one in the world was as powerful as his big brother. Now that his big brother came to visit in person, he was rejected at the door. It was ridiculous. "Don't talk nonsense. Pavilion leader Shangguan is my respected elder. He's busy every day, so it's normal that he can't leave for a while. Didn't you hear that he'll be free at night?" Lin Yi glared at Languza. This guy sometimes spoke without thinking. It didn't matter if he offended someone unrelated to him, but it was not good to offend someone he respected. Languza shrank his head and laughed awkwardly. He immediately admitted his mistake. "So he's the big brother's elder. Then he's my elder, Languza. We'll visit again tonight. I wonder if he'll treat us to dinner or something." Just now in the reception hall, Languza had some tea and pastries from the sky-reaching pavilion. He felt that they tasted good, so he was already thinking about dinner. As for this foodie, Lin Yi chose to ignore him. He then directly rushed to the cave where the king of junk was forging. That guy was most likely beside the forging pool. The two of them were extremely fast. After a short while, they arrived at the cave. Lin Yi led Languza through the restriction formation with ease. After scanning with his divine sense, he found that the king of junk was indeed inside, staring at the forging pool. "Brother Lin, you're back?" The king of junk would sense someone passing through the restriction formation. When he came out and saw that it was Lin Yi, he was immediately overjoyed. "We haven't seen each other for a few days. Do you need to be so enthusiastic?" Lin Yi smiled and pointed at Languza. "This is my new little brother. His name is Languza. Nice to meet you. I'm Wang Lanpa. Brother Lan, you can call me the king of junk. Everyone calls me that." The king of junk hurriedly greeted Languza with his fists cupped. Those who could follow Lin Yi were all his people, so there was no need to be too polite. "You look like a nice guy. Just call me Languza. If anyone dares to bully you in the future, just come to me. I'll help you beat them up." Languza patted his chest hard. He did not forget to find a potential fight opportunity for himself. The king of junk did not know how to answer at that moment. He could only agree vaguely. In fact, after Lin Yi's rise, there were very few people who dared to bully him. With the help of Laner and Hong Zhong from Shanghai Laner, the king of junk had been living a good life for the past 2 years. There was basically no such thing as being bullied. After all, he did not occupy some positions like Xiao Ran. Naturally, no one would find trouble with him for no reason. In any case, Languza had good intentions. The king of junk expressed his gratitude. If he knew that Languza was looking for an opportunity to fight, what would he think? "Brother Wang, you don't have to pay attention to this guy. I'm here for the ghost cicada wings." Lin Yi did not beat around the bush. He went straight to the point and took out the jade box containing the ghost cicada wings. The king of junk's eyes lit up. He was also very interested in refining the ghost cicada wings. However, he had all the other materials. He could not refine the ghost cicada wings except for the crucial ghost cicada wings. He was really eager. Now that he finally got the ghost cicada wings and could start refining the ghost cicada wings, he was in a good mood. It really is the ghost cicada wings. It's perfect. The king of junk took the jade box and opened it carefully. He could not help but praise in a low voice. "Brother Wang, the materials for the ghost cicada wings are all here. How long will it take to refine them?" Lin Yi was very concerned about this matter. Once he got the ghost cicada wings, his mobility would be greatly enhanced. Whether it was fighting or escaping, it would definitely be several times more efficient. Chapter 6044. Although the space of the jade pendant could be used as a supplement, it would take some time to convert the true qi into physical strength, and there would be a cooling period in between. With the ghostly speed wings, it would be a perfect supplement and connection. The effect was not as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. The ghostly speed wings can be refined in a few days. Precisely speaking, about 5 days. "Brother Lin, if you are in a hurry, I can speed it up and try to finish it in 3 days." The king of junk estimated in his mind and gave a time that Lin Yi was satisfied with. He could get the ghostly speed wings in 3 to 5 days. What was there to be dissatisfied about? Didn't you see that the lump in the casting pool was already 2 to 3 years old? Don't worry, take your time. We are after perfection. Lin Yi waved his hand with a smile. It made no difference to him whether it was 3 or 5 days. He had to go back to the Middle Island, and it was unrealistic to stay here for a few days. When Lin Yi came back from the Middle Island, the ghostly speed wings would have been completed. He could use them when he went to the East Continent. Brother Lin is right. We are after perfection. The king of junk laughed. Lin Yi's words were exactly what he was thinking. If it was not for perfection, how could Wang Lanpa get the title of the king of junk with his skill in forging? It was a great fortune to have a confidant like Lin Yi, even if there was only one. "Brother Lin, I will start my seclusion to refine the ghostly speed wings now. Come to me in a few days, and I will definitely give you a perfect pair of wings." The king of junk was ready to start work immediately. "Wait, there's no rush. I just got here, and you're telling me to leave already, Wang bro?" Lin Yi looked at the king of junk, amused. Crafting addicts were a perfect description for this guy. No, Brother Lin, you can stay if you want. I might be able to speed up the process with your help. The king of junk waved his hand to show that he had no intention of leaving. However, he still wanted to start refining the ghostly speed wings immediately. Hey, king of junk, you asked my boss to stay. Are you trying to drive me away? Languza was not stupid. He immediately grasped what he thought was the key point. The king of junk looked at Languza and grinned, but didn't say anything. Hey, Junk King, I thought you were a nice guy just now. Was I wrong? Languza pretended to be unhappy, but immediately winked at the king of rags. The two looked at each other and burst into laughter. Lin Yi had to admit that he was no match for Languza when it came to his ability to be familiar with people. Alright, Languza, stop messing around. I still have things to talk to Brother Wang. Lin Yi scolded with a smile before taking out the flying saucer wrapped in starry sky flowing flame gold and handing it to the Ragged King. This is the starry sky flowing flame gold. The Ragged King's eyes immediately lit up. He took the flying saucer and looked at it fondly. Brother Wang has good eyesight. I want to know how long it will take to fuse with this starry sky flowing flame gold. Can you speed it up? Lin Yi pointed at the flying saucer and looked at the Ragged King with some expectation. As long as the flying saucer could finish fusing with the starry sky flowing flame gold quickly, Lin Yi would be able to come and go much faster. Did this flying tool come from Miss Han's hands? It's very similar to her style. It's really a wonderful work. In terms of forging, Miss Han's talent might even surpass mine. The Ragged King sighed before looking up at Lin Yi and nodding. Brother Lin, you used too much starry sky flowing flame gold. As the saying goes, too much is as bad as not enough. That's why it slowed down the progress of the fusion. Otherwise, with the current situation, the fusion should have been completed by now. Too much? Lin Yi felt slightly startled. He hadn't expected such a reason. Fortunately, he hadn't used all of the starry sky flowing flame gold. Even half of it was too much. God knows how long it would take to fuse with all of it. It's not difficult to finish the fusion as soon as possible. Just give me some time. I'll peel off the excess starry sky flowing flame gold. It should take about an hour. However, I hope Brother Lin can give me the stripped starry sky flowing flame gold. I can add a bit to the ghost speed wings to increase its speed. The Ragged King loved the flying saucer in his hands and didn't even look at Lin Yi when he spoke. No problem. If you don't have enough starry sky flowing flame gold, I still have more. Lin Yi naturally agreed. What reason did he have to refuse such a good thing? Thinking that he would be able to use the upgraded flying saucer in an hour, Lin Yi couldn't help but feel excited. In the future, he wouldn't need to ride a flying beast or a battleship to travel between the islands. It would be much more convenient to use this flying saucer. It's enough. I've calculated it. There's enough excess here. If I need more, I'll ask you. The Ragged King waved his hand. There was no need to be polite between him and Lin Yi. As long as it was useful for forging, he wouldn't hesitate to give it to him, no matter how precious it was. Brother Wang, can you see if these two masks can be fused together? Lin Yi took out the worldly phenomenon and Thousand Silk Mask and handed them to the Ragged King. The Thousand Silk Mask was the mask that Lin Yi used to use in the past. However, as his strength increased, the opponents he encountered also became more and more powerful. As a result, the weakness of this mask became more and more obvious. For cultivators at the Profound Ascension stage and Mountain Opening stage, this mask basically lost its purpose as a disguise. Therefore, he decided to bid for the worldly phenomenon. However, after obtaining the worldly phenomenon, Lin Yi didn't want to throw away the Thousand Silk Mask. If he could fuse them together and add a familiar face to the worldly phenomenon, it would also be a good thing. This mask is quite exquisite. It's a good quality product. Brother Lin, it should be enough for you, right? Fusing them together may not have a good result. Why bother to fuse them together? The Ragged King carefully put down the flying saucer and compared the two masks. He looked at Lin Yi strangely. The function of the worldly phenomenon was enough for Lin Yi to use until the Earth Opening stage. Fusing the Thousand Silk Mask with it might not necessarily have any improvement. On the contrary, the failure of the fusion would lead to some very bad results. I'm just used to using the 1,000 silk mask. I don't really want to throw it away. It doesn't matter if it doesn't work. Linny shrugged. It was good to keep the 1,000 silk mask as a pure souvenir. I didn't say it doesn't work. It's just 2 masks. Don't worry, leave it to me. The Ragged King laughed and patted his chest confidently. He put away the 2 masks and said, I can give you both the mask and the flying tool tonight. If there's anything else, take them out. Chapter 6045. Speaking of casting materials, Lin Yi did have a lot of them. They were the spoils of war from the past few battles. For the time being, he did not want to cast anything, so he put them in the space of the jade pendant as a reserve. If the Tattered King needed them, he could take them out at any time. Well, since there is nothing else, are you going to stay and help me or come back at night to pick up the things? The Tattered King shrugged. In fact, with so many good things, he could not wait to start casting. He really did not care if there was anything else. I'll come back at night and take the opportunity to see my brothers in Blue Cloud Pavilion. Lin Yi wanted to get his hands on the flying saucer and mask as soon as possible, but since he had to visit Shangguan Tianhua at night, he'd have to wait for half a day. He might as well go visit Xiao Ran and the others at the Clear Cloud Pavilion. Alright, then I won't send you off. You can go by yourselves. The Tattered King waved his hand at them and picked up Lin Yi's flying saucer. He began to peel off the excess starry sky blazing gold. This was the easiest work, and if it was delayed, it would only waste more starry sky blazing gold. For the Tattered King, wasting high-level materials was the most shameful thing. Lin Yi smiled faintly and left with Languza. He'd known the King of Garbage for so many years, and he knew the guy's personality like the back of his hand. He didn't mind. Boss, isn't it time to find a place to eat? Recently, my stomach is not very good. I always get hungry easily. After leaving the cave, Languza began to complain about being hungry. Lin Yi suddenly laughed. Easy to get hungry easily with a bad stomach? His appetite was too good, right? This guy really talked about food 3 times. It was fine when he was at sea, but when he came to a crowded place, he immediately showed his true colors. If you want to eat, just say that you want to eat. Who do you think will believe that you have a bad stomach? Lin Yi laughed and scolded. He pointed in the direction of Blue Cloud Pavilion and said, I'll take you to my place and find something for you to eat. I don't know if it tastes good, but I'll make sure you eat until you're full. Boss treats me the best. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go. Languza laughed heartily. He didn't feel guilty at all for having his lie exposed. Soon, the 2 of them arrived at the Blue Cloud Pavilion. Unfortunately, this time, they did not meet any acquaintances. According to the disciples of the Blue Cloud Pavilion, it seemed that Lu Bianren had taken Xiao Ran and the others to the nearby sea area to do some short-term task. They had just left for less than 3 days, and it was estimated that they would come back in 2 days. Perhaps they had calculated the time when Lin Yi would board the ancient battleship to arrive at the northern island, but they did not expect that he would leave the northern island in advance by flying Spirit Beast alone. Although it was a pity, Lin Yi didn't care too much about it. After all, it hadn't been many days since he came to the North Island last time, and he would come back soon after going back to Middle Island. He didn't have to worry about not having a chance to meet her. Boss, what should we do now? Are we just going to wait here until it gets dark? Languza asked in a muffled voice as he chewed. Lin Yi scratched his head, thinking that if he had known this earlier, he would have helped the King of Rags set up the flying saucer and the mortal phenomenon earlier. It was not appropriate to go back now, and he might disturb the King of Rags. Do you want to stay here or go out with me? There are a lot of delicious food in the marketplace of the Northern Island. Lin Yi didn't want to wait here foolishly. Anyway, he had some time, so it was good to take Languza for a stroll. Hearing there was delicious food, Languza immediately stood up, wiped his mouth, and said with a smile, Boss, what are we waiting for? Let's go now, or we'll miss the promised visit time. Just as he expected, Lin Yi smiled faintly. Languza's reaction was exactly as he had expected. After leaving Blue Cloud Pavilion, they went to the marketplace of the northern island for a stroll. Seeing that it was getting dark, they went directly to the sky-reaching pavilion. Senior brother Lin, the pavilion master has told me that if you come, please go directly to the pavilion master in the study. Seeing Lin Yi and Languza, the welcoming disciple of the sky-reaching pavilion immediately greeted them with a big smile, cupping his fists respectfully. Not to mention Lin Yi's prestige in the North Island, the fact that he was received in the study of Shanghai Tianhua was enough to make this disciple die of envy. In recent years, apart from Ram Jie, Lin Yi seemed to be the only one among the younger generation. Okay, thank you, junior brother. Lin Yi smiled, cupped his fists, and thanked him. Languza followed suit and followed Lin Yi inside. That disciple opened his mouth, wanting to say that Master Shangguan only wanted to see senior brother Lin, but then he remembered that he didn't say that he was going to see only one person. After a moment's hesitation, the two of them had already turned around the eaves and turned into the yard, so he decided not to open his mouth. If this disciple stopped Languza from entering, Lin Yi would naturally ask him to stay outside out of respect for Shanghai Tianhua. But since no one said that, he just followed. Senior Shangguan, Lin Yi is here to see you. Lin Yi came to the study of Shanghai Tianhua, cupped his fists respectfully, and said loudly, "Come in." There was no special emotional fluctuation in Shanghai Tianhua's voice, and Lin Yi didn't know whether he was happy or unhappy. But after entering, he saw Shanghai Tianhua nodding to him with a smile, and it seemed that he was in a good mood. "Lin Yi, long time no see. Your strength has improved a lot. And the friend beside you, his strength and potential are quite good." Shanghai Tianhua put down the writing brush in his hand, walked around the desk, and motioned Lin Yi and Lin Yi to sit down in the chairs on the side. "This is my friend Languza. Languza, come and greet Senior Shangguan." Lin Yi made a brief introduction, and then glared at Languza. This guy was usually smart, but why was he so stupid today? He didn't even know how to say hello to Shanghai Tianhua. Languza greets Senior Shangguan. Languza quickly cupped his fists, bowed, and greeted him respectfully. Honestly, he was quite happy that Shanghai Tianhua praised him, and his impression of Shanghai Tianhua naturally improved a lot. Shanghai Tianhua looked at Languza meaningfully, smiled, and nodded. "Is it Languza? You're not bad. Cultivate well, and you'll have a bright future." Lin Yi looked at Shanghai Tianhua with some doubt. Could it be that Languza's identity as a sea serpent dragon had been exposed? Or was it purely a polite remark? In fact, even if Languza's identity was exposed, it didn't matter. It wasn't a big deal. He believed that Shanghai Tianhua wouldn't make things difficult for Lin Yi and Lin Yi because of this. "Senior Shangguan, I wanted to visit you when I passed by the North Island last time, but I didn't have the chance. Today, I finally see you." Lin Yi smiled slightly and politely found a topic to talk about. Chapter 6046. There are indeed a lot of things that I want to talk to Senior Shangguan about. Lin Yi pondered for a while. Originally, he wanted to talk about the matters in the ancient underworld, but after thinking about it, it seemed that what happened in the extreme North Island was more important. This time, there was a large-scale sea beast tide in the extreme North Island, and there were also spies working together from both inside and outside. They almost conquered the extreme North Island. I wonder if Senior Shangguan has heard about this? After the sea beast tide in the extreme North Island subsided, Lin Yi spent 2 to 3 days concocting the recovery pill. Therefore, it was normal for the extreme North Island to receive the news. Sure enough, Shanghai Tianhua nodded slightly, indicating that he had heard about it. "What is the specific situation? Can you tell me in detail?" Shanghai Tianhua didn't say how much he knew. Perhaps he wanted to verify what Lin Yi had said. After all, even if he received the news, he wouldn't know more than Lin Yi, who had personally participated in it. "No problem. I'll start from a transformed spirit beast." Lin Yi started from the time he found the wind tiger, then the tunnel leading to the beach, the chaos in the central area of the extreme North Island, the broken formation base, the loosened defense mechanism, the powerful sea beast tide, and so on. He briefly mentioned everything about himself. "So that's how it is. So many things have happened in the northern islands and they almost fell. In the end, even Senior Li Lin appeared. No wonder they received a distress signal, but it was cancelled." Shangguan Tianhua had a look of understanding on his face as he muttered softly to himself. "Senior Shangguan, did Senior Li Lin ask you for help?" Lin Yi was a little surprised. Was there some kind of agreement between the extreme North Island and the extreme North Island? But even if the extreme North Island sent reinforcements, they wouldn't be able to make it in time. You've met Senior Li Lin, so you should already know about the superfamilies and the Guardian Convention. So, there's no problem telling you about it. Shanghai Tianhua nodded, then shook his head. I wasn't the one who received the rescue signal, it was the ancestor of the Shangguan family. Lin Yi suddenly understood. This should be the agreement in the Guardian Convention. Okuda Ba had mentioned it to him before. If Li Lin was in danger, the other family's sea-splitting realm old monsters would naturally help. So, Shanghai Tianhua wasn't the most powerful person in the extreme North Island. Although Lin Yi couldn't see his strength, he shouldn't have reached the sea-splitting realm yet. Maybe he was close to Zhuang Yifan. As for the Shangguan family that he had never heard of before, he didn't find it strange at all. There were Shangguan families in the ancient Jianghu. It was normal for them to exist on Sky-class Island. Senior Shangguan, actually, I suspect that the incident at the extreme North Island has something to do with an organization. Lin Yi put the Shangguan family's matter aside and decided to bring up the main point. Let's hear it. Shanghai Tianhua nodded and didn't dwell on the topic of the ancient aristocratic families. As I mentioned just now, I caught a person who destroyed the array base. According to her confession, the whole thing was done by the South Island Auction Association. They communicated with the sea beasts through the spirit beasts, and finally formed a large-scale invasion of the far North Island. And there's another organization behind this South Island Auction Association, which I suspect is the center. In other words, it is the true core of the Central Chamber of Commerce. Lin Yi was talking about the information he got from Aunt Lon. As for the core, it was his own guess. I have also heard of the Central Chamber of Commerce. In fact, we have been paying attention to this organization for a long time. Not only was Shanghai Tianhua not surprised, but he also seemed to have some understanding of the Central Chamber of Commerce. Senior Shangguan, have you already noticed the center? Who are you referring to, Senior? Lin Yi was slightly startled, but he quickly recovered. With the speed of the Central Chamber of Commerce's expansion, it was impossible for it not to attract the attention of all the big shots on the other islands. I'm talking about my friend, the one who recently visited the North Island. We were talking about the Central Chamber of Commerce. You two can join me for dinner and you can get to know her. Shanghai Tianhua smiled. He didn't treat Lin Yi as an outsider at all. Languz's eyes lit up when he heard that he would be able to have dinner. His impression of Shanghai Tianhua instantly improved. However, Lin Yi's focus wasn't on dinner. Senior Shangguan, who is the senior you mentioned? If he wasn't mistaken, he should be the one who was going to bring Shanghai later to the East Continent. However, Lin Yi still didn't know who this person was. She's Zhang Jingniao, the Deputy Dean of Feiyang College in the East Continent's Mystic Steppe Sea area. This time, Lan became her disciple and went to Feiyang College to cultivate with her. This girl was spoiled by me. She refused to cultivate properly in the North Island, so I could only send her to Feiyang College to be disciplined. At the mention of Shanghai later, Shanghai Tianhua suddenly showed a doting expression on his face. Lin Yi was sure that what he said was true, however, this wasn't the point. The point was that Shanghai Tianhua was friends with the deputy dean of a college in the Mystic Steppe Sea area. Before, Lin Yi had tried his best to overestimate Shanghai Tianhua's influence in the East Continent, but now he realized that he had underestimated him too much. The deputy dean of a college in the Mystic Steppe Sea area couldn't be compared to the Yellow Steppe Sea area. Although Zhuang Yifan was powerful in the Yellow Steppe Sea area, he might not be as popular as Zhang Jingniao in the Mystic Steppe Sea area. You mean that the center has already attracted the attention of the Mystic Steppe Sea area in the East Continent? Lin Yi found it hard to believe. If the people of the Mystic Steppe Sea area made a move, even if the center had already set up arrangements on the other islands, they probably wouldn't be able to resist. If the center was given a few more years to develop, the result would be hard to say. You can't say that. The Mystic Steppe Sea area doesn't care much about the other islands. Zhang Jingniao only brought out her personal experience to discuss with me. She didn't pay too much attention to the center. However, after you brought news about the extreme North Island, things might be a little different. Shanghai Tianhua smiled and waved his hand. He then said, "Let's talk about this during dinner. Now let's talk about something else." Okay, I also want Senior Zhang Jingyao to pay attention to the center. This organization is really troublesome. Lin Yi mentioned it briefly and then changed the topic. Senior Shangguan, I've never heard of the Shangguan family when I was in the North Island. So, the actual controller of the North Island is your family? Chapter 6047. Senior Shangguan, you said the Shangguan family is the leader. Does that mean there's more than one ancient family on the North Island? Lin Yi was really surprised this time. It turned out that he still didn't know much about the Heaven Stage Island. He wouldn't know how much power they had hidden under the surface until they showed it. You're very smart. You've guessed the truth with just one sentence. There are 3 ancient families on the North Island, including the Shangguan family. Their overall strength is not as good as the other islands, but their top combat strength is not inferior. Shanghai Tianhua smiled faintly. There was a hint of pride in his eyes. Lin Yi was secretly shocked. Apart from the Shangguan family, there were 2 other ancient families on the North Island. Their strength was absolutely shocking. I can't tell you too much about these things for now. When your strength reaches a certain level, you'll naturally come into contact with them. Now, you just need to have a rough idea. Shanghai Tianhua didn't want to continue, so Lin Yi didn't ask which ancient families were on the North Island. Lin Yi knew about the Okuda family on the Middle Island, but judging from the North Island, there might be other ancient families hiding in the dark. Senior Shangguan, if that's the case, there should be ancient families on the West Island and the South Island, right? Lin Yi thought for a moment. The Ning family on the West Island must be one, but it was hard to say for the South Island. Sure enough, Shanghai Tianhua smiled and nodded. There are indeed ancient families on the West Island, but the South Island is a bit chaotic. I don't know what's going on right now. When the Guardian Pact was signed, the South Island was one of them. However, a long time ago, the other islands lost contact with the ancient families on the South Island. Is it because of the spirit beasts? Lin Yi thought this was very possible. There were many powerful warriors in the spirit beasts, especially the Azure Dragon and Vermilion Bird, who had the bloodline of divine beasts. Their strength was even more terrifying. They were invincible among their peers, and it was normal for them to fight against those at a higher level. It's possible. No one knows the real situation. Coincidentally, there's something I want to tell you about the South Island. As Shangguan Tianhua said that, he suddenly hesitated for a moment. Senior Shangguan, please tell me what you need. As long as I can do it, I won't refuse. Lin Yi knew that Shanghai Tianhua wanted to ask him for help, but he didn't know what to say. No problem. What kind of information does Senior Shangguan want me to get? It's nothing important. I know you'll send Lan, to the East Continent, but Vice Dean Zhang Jingyao has to wait for the Okuda Dam's fleet to complete the round trip to the North Island, and then pick up the rest of the other islands in the East Continent. The fleet will depart in a few months. If you don't, can you help to get some information on Shangguan? Guan, Shangguan said. Guan Guan Shangguan I. But before that, I need to go back to the Middle Island. It won't take long. Lin Yi agreed without hesitation. Shanghai Tianhua had done him a favor. No matter what the request was, as long as it didn't violate his conscience, he would not refuse. What was more, even without Shanghai Tianhua's request, Lin Yi was ready to find time to go to the South Island. Apart from other things, the South Island plan of the center had always been like a fishbone in his throat. He couldn't rest assured until he solved it. Since Shanghai Laner's trip to the East Continent would take a few months, he had enough time to explore the South Island. Moreover, he would sail with Okuda Dam this time, which put Lin Yi in a good mood. No problem. If you have something to do, just do it. If you can spare time to go to the South Island, you can. If you can't, it's okay. Shanghai Tianhua nodded with a smile. He really wanted to ask Lin Yi for help, instead of ordering Lin Yi to do something. After a short pause, Shanghai Tianhua continued without waiting for Lin Yi to speak. Many places in the sea area near the South Continent are controlled by the Spirit Beast clan, and they collect high taxes. It's becoming more and more difficult for human cultivators to survive in that sea area. This is quite strange. Do you want me to investigate this matter? Lin Yi looked a little serious. In fact, he was the first to know this news. A similar thing had happened when he went to the South Island. Now it seemed that the development was out of the control of the human clan. You can say that, but I don't need you to take risks. There are many experts in the Spirit Beast clan. Although your strength is good now, it's not enough in the South Island. In the past, as long as the human cultivators in the sea area of the South Continent didn't go to the Spirit Beast Forest, they basically minded their own business with the Spirit Beast clan. This time, the Spirit Beast clan suddenly invaded the living space of the human cultivators on a large scale. There must be something strange about it. Shanghai Tianhua frowned slightly and didn't know how to explain it to Lin. Do you want me to find out why the Spirit Beast clan suddenly left the Spirit Beast Forest? Or do you suspect that someone cooperated with the Spirit Beast clan to occupy a large area of the human cultivators' territory so easily? Lin Yi had kind of understood Shanghai Tianhua's meaning. Thinking of the center that had just been mentioned, Shanghai Tianhua was probably also suspecting that the center was behind the actions of the Spirit Beast clan. Don't risk your life in the Spirit Beast Forest. All you need to do is to gather information in the areas controlled by the Spirit Beast clan and find out who exactly is working with the Spirit Beast clan. I'm sure you already have some guesses in your mind, but I need more concrete evidence to prove it. Shanghai Tianhua looked quite serious. Lin Yi guessed that this matter might have something to do with the center, so he didn't dare to neglect it. I understand. I will definitely handle this matter. If I don't have to go back to the Middle Island, I even want to set off to the South Island now. If it was really the center who was playing tricks behind the scenes, maybe this was the plan of the South Island. Or maybe it was just part of the plan. In any case, Lin Yi had to get to the bottom of it as soon as possible. Not now. It's lunchtime soon. Let's go and have a simple meal first and get to know Deputy Dean Zhang Jingmiao. She's an expert. With her support, you can also do whatever you want in the East Continent in the future. Shanghai Tianhua was in a good mood and joked casually. Of course, he knew that even if Lin Yi wanted to do whatever he wanted, he always relied on his own strength instead of having someone to support him. Chapter 6048. Then let's go together. Shanghai Tianhua laughed as he stood up and walked out first. Lin Yi glared at Languza. This guy really doesn't change. He doesn't forget to eat wherever he goes. It's really shameful. The three of them came to the Shangguan family's dining room unhurriedly. There were no round tables here. Instead, there were many small long tables. Each of them sat down and ate separately. Seeing this arrangement, Lin Yi suddenly felt relieved. If it was the kind of big round table where everyone was together, he was very worried that the dishes would be swept away by Languza as soon as they were served. If that happened, he really wouldn't have the face to visit the Shangguan family in the future. Shanghai Tianhua didn't know what Lin Yi was thinking. He sat down on the main seat and waved his hand casually. You can sit anywhere you want. I don't have so many rules here. Although he said so, Lin Yi didn't really dare to break the rules. The first seat on the left of the main seat must be reserved for Deputy Dean Zhang Jingmiao. If no one else came, then it shouldn't be a big problem to sit on the first seat on the right. If it wasn't in front of Shanghai Tianhua, Lin Yi wouldn't have so many scruples. Facing a respected elder would always be a little uncomfortable. Just as Lin Yi pulled Languza to the right and was about to sit down, he saw two beautiful women outside the door. One of them was Shangguan Laner, and the other was a middle-aged beautiful woman. Although her appearance was not as good as Lan, she was graceful and elegant. At first glance, people would feel a sense of respect. She was definitely not a simple person. Needless to ask, this beautiful woman was the deputy dean of Feiyang College in the Xuanjie area, Zhang Jingmiao. Lin Yi, you're here. Why didn't anyone inform me? Shangguan Laner saw Lin Yi as soon as she came in. She was immediately overjoyed and ran over happily. However, the curly bear was one step ahead of her. When the little guy saw Lin Yi, he quickly climbed onto his shoulder and intimately rubbed his face with his head. However, when Languza approached, the coiled bear trembled all over. It probably felt the aura of the Shanghai flood dragon. It hurriedly waved its claws at Lin Yi, jumped to the ground, and immediately ran away. Even when Shanghai Laner called out to it, it didn't look back. Left with no choice, Lin Yi could only let it go. Unruly! Shanghai Tianhua's face turned serious as he berated loudly. Even though Shanghai Tianhua had always doted on Lan, Zhang Jingmiao was her master now. How could she so casually greet others before her master? At the very least, he should have reported it first. Senior brother Shangguan, Lan, is innocent and naive. Don't make such a big fuss to scare her. Zhang Jingmiao smiled and waved her hand, pleading for Shanghai Lane. It seemed that she also liked this little girl very much. Junior sister Zhang, I want to find a strict master for this little girl. If you spoil her so much, won't you repeat my mistakes? Shanghai Tianhua suddenly smiled bitterly, but since Zhang Jingmiao had spoken, he couldn't say anything more. Shanghai Laner shrank her head and quietly stuck out her lilac tongue at Lin. She quickly turned around and held Zhang Jingmiao's arm, saying, Master, don't listen to my grandfather. He just wants me to go out and suffer. Master, you have to be my solid support. You little girl, you need to be disciplined. Your grandfather is right. Zhang Jingmiao deliberately put on a cold face, but the smile in her eyes couldn't be concealed. It would be strange if she could scare Shanghai Lena. Lin Yi, this is Zhang Jingmiao, whom I mentioned to you before. She is now Lan Er's master. Junior sister Zhang, this is Lin Yi, a genius disciple of the young generation of our North Island. Shanghai Tianhua stared at Shanghai Laner, stood up, and introduced them briefly. Lin Yi pays his respect to you, senior. Lin Yi didn't dare to neglect and saluted respectfully with his hands folded. This time, Languza was very perceptive. He didn't need to be reminded and also saluted and greeted him in a proper manner. Lin, I know you. I've heard someone mention you these days. You really have outstanding talent and look like a talent. Zhang Jimiao looked at Shanghai Laner with a smile. The meaningful look in his eyes suddenly made this girl blush and stamp her feet unwillingly. Shanghai Tianhua laughed and asked everyone to take a seat. Then he asked people to serve the food. Languza, you should eat gently, or I won't take you out in the future. Lin Yi secretly warned Languza that this guy's table manners were too frightening. It was okay in other places, but in front of Shanghai Tianhua and Zhang Jingmiao, he had to save some face. Languza immediately nodded with a bitter face. He thought he had always been very gentle. He didn't know what the boss understood. It's really difficult. It should be okay to divide one mouthful into two mouthfuls, right? Putting aside this guy's dilemma, Shanghai Tianhua, as the host, first toasted them and then changed the topic to the northernmost island. He asked Lin Yi to describe the situation in detail to Zhang Jimiao again. After hearing the specific situation of the sea beast tide attacking the northernmost island, Zhang Jimiao's expression also became somewhat serious. The sea beast tide was not rare, but the sea beast tide launched by the human clan and the spirit beast clan was really rare, especially when it was likely to involve the center. Senior brother Shangguan, do you and Lin Yi think that this matter is related to the center? Zhang Jimiao stopped drinking and looked at Shanghai Tianhua and Lin Yi solemnly. The possibility is very high, so I asked Lin Yi to find a way to investigate the South Continent before going to the East Continent. With his strength, he won't attract the attention of the Spirit Beast clan. Moreover, he can guarantee his own safety. He is a very suitable candidate. Shanghai Tianhua nodded slightly. He already felt that the center would become a major unstable factor on the Heaven Stage Island, so he wanted to find out the details of the other party as soon as possible. Lin Yi suddenly understood why Shanghai Tianhua asked him to go to the South Island. With his combat strength, an ordinary mountain opening stage was not a match for him at all. As long as he didn't enter the Spirit Beast Forest, there was absolutely no problem for him to protect himself. On the surface, Lin Yi's strength had not reached the mountain opening stage, so he really wouldn't attract the other party's attention. The only thing he needed to worry about was the center's attention on him. However, after the mortal Vientiane was refined again, there was nothing to worry about. In this case, I'll trouble Lin Yi to go to the South Continent. As for the final preparations, we'll discuss it after you come back. Zhang Jingmiao smiled, and the way he looked at Lin Yi became more and more gentle. "Senior, don't worry. I won't let you down." Lin Yi cupped his hands at Zhang Jingmiao, then he changed the topic and asked about the Xianstep Sea area. "Senior Zhang, we'll talk about the South Island later. I wonder if it's convenient for you to tell me about the Xianstep Sea area? In fact, I've been to the Yellow Steppe Sea area in the East Continent before, and I've always been looking forward to the Xianstep Sea area. This is a rare opportunity, so I'd like to ask for your advice." "Of course you can. In fact, the Xianstep Sea area is not as mysterious as you think. It's not much different from the Yellow Steppe Sea area. It's also composed of various cities, academies, and sections. The only difference is that the spiritual qi is more intense, and there are more experts." Zhang Jingmiao nodded with a smile. She first gave a general introduction, but this kind of answer definitely wouldn't satisfy Lin Yi. Chapter 6049. Lin Yi knew that the standard of the students in the Mystic Sea Region Academy was very high, but he didn't expect that there would be a teacher at the sea-splitting stage. With the guidance of such a master, it was no wonder that the geniuses in the Yellow Sea region were fighting to enter the Mystic Sea Region Academy. In addition, there are various courses to choose from in the academy, such as alchemy, blacksmithing, formations, and so on. As long as you want to learn, there's nothing you can't learn. Shanghai Laner was very proud to introduce to Lin Yi. She spared no effort to boast about the Mystic Sea Region Academy because she wanted Lin Yi to stay there with her. Otherwise, how boring would it be for her to be alone? Although Zhang Jingmiao loved Shanghai Laner very much, she was still her master. If she wanted to slack off and play, she couldn't just look for her master, right? That would be looking for a beating. "Oh right, I heard from Lan, that you're also a very powerful alchemist. You're already at the mystic first level?" Zhang Jingmiao's eyes suddenly lit up and looked at Lin Yi with interest. Although a mystic first-level alchemist was not rare in the Mystic Sea region, such a young mystic first-level alchemist was very rare. Not to mention that Lin Yi's own combat power was also extremely amazing. If he could be accepted into Feiyang College, it would definitely not be a loss. "I'm not powerful, I can only refine some pills." Lin Yi waved his hand very modestly. Although he already had the title of a mystic second-level alchemist in the extreme North Island, but after all, he relied on the Shenong Cauldron and the automatic alchemy system. So when he could keep a low profile, it was better not to be too arrogant. "Really good. Our Feiyang Academy has a very complete system of elixir refinement. If you're interested, you can stay with Lan, or to learn a thing or two when you go to Dongzhou. I'm sure it'll be of great help to you." Zhang Jinmiao didn't directly say that she wanted to recruit Lin Yi, but everyone understood what she was trying to say. It was a shame that Zhang Jingmiao didn't know that Lin Yi's master was Zhang Liju, otherwise, she would have changed her story. Even in the Mystic Sea region, the name of Miracle Pill Doctor wasn't something the masters of the academies could compare to. "Thank you, Senior Zhang. Junior is naturally interested in such an opportunity. When the time comes, I'll still need Senior's help." Of course, Lin Yi wouldn't reject such a good opportunity. Whether or not he would stay in Feiyang College in the end, it was better to learn something useful first. A sweet smile appeared on Shanghai Laner's face. She was already very happy that Lin Yi was able to go to the East Continent with her, and now he could stay in Feiyang College with her. What could be better than this? Zhang Jingmiao was also very satisfied with Lin Yi's attitude. To be able to get a genius like this trip was definitely a great harvest. Plus, there was also Shanghai Laner, who was also very talented. If it wasn't for the fact that she had been slacking off, her strength would definitely be much higher than her peers. "Senior Zhang, I'd like to ask if there are any courses in the school on spiritual sense training?" Lin Yi had the Heaven's Fortune battle art to train his spiritual sense, but he had never had any systematic contact with it. It would be perfect if Feiyang College had a course on spiritual sense training. "Hey, you've already started cultivating your divine sense?" Zhang Jingmiao's eyes lit up, and her face showed a hint of surprise. Originally, she thought that she had already overestimated Lin Yi, but now it seemed that she had still underestimated him. In the magnate realm, although the divine sense was not the main fighting method, it could also be used as a support to increase the fighting strength. A cultivator with a powerful divine sense against a cultivator with a weak divine sense could form a complete suppression in the case of the same strength. It's just a little bit of spiritual sense. Lin Yi waved his hand modestly. He didn't say how powerful his spiritual sense was. Zhang Jingmiao didn't doubt it. Generally speaking, spiritual sense training was only started after the mountain opening stage. It was not easy for Lin Yi to be able to get a little bit of spiritual sense with his profound ascending stage strength. If she knew that Lin Yi's so-called little bit of spiritual sense was enough to crush her, how would she feel? You can cultivate spiritual sense in advance. It can be said that you're quite far-sighted. Normally, practitioners only start to cultivate spiritual sense after the mountain opening stage. In a real battle, spiritual sense can be used as a support method, and it can improve a lot of combat power. But if you want to directly use it as a means of attack or defense, you have to at least reach the C-splitting stage. However, some practitioners who specialize in spiritual sense can be very strong in the mountain opening stage, and some geniuses in the earth opening stage can also use various spiritual sense skills. Zhang Jingmiao thought that Lin Yi might be a genius in spiritual sense. When he reached the earth opening stage, he should be the first person under the C-splitting stage. After a slight pause, Zhang Jingmiao continued. There are indeed courses about spiritual sense in the academy, but they are basically designed for students in the mountain opening stage, and they are also very superficial use of spiritual sense, such as assisting in fighting, making it more accurate to attack, easier to find the opponent's flaws, and releasing spiritual sense to scout the surrounding environment and find some places that are not easy to see with the naked eye and so on. So, there is no teaching of spiritual sense attack or defense skills in the academy? Lin Yi was slightly disappointed in his heart. The use of spiritual sense that Zhang Jingmiao said was indeed the most superficial thing. It could be said that it was the foundation of the foundation, and it was of no use to him at all. Compared to the small immemorial underworld, the heaven stage island's spiritual sense was really too inferior. If the small immemorial underworld had the rich spiritual chi and perfect advancement resources like the heaven stage island, the experts that came out of it would definitely be able to crush opponents of the same level in the heaven stage island. There is no public teaching of spiritual sense skills, but there are some ancient books in the Academy's Sutra Pavilion. As long as you have enough academic credits, you can go to the Sutra Pavilion to exchange for what you want. Zhang Jingmiao saw that Lin Yi was very interested in spiritual sense skills, and immediately threw out the Sutra Pavilion as a bargaining chip. Lin Yi showed enough interest, as expected. How do I obtain academic credits? Apart from exchanging for things in the Sutra Pavilion, are there any other uses? Of course, academic credits are equivalent to the Academy's currency, and can only be obtained by completing missions or performing well. As long as the Academy releases resources, you can exchange for them, including elixirs for cultivation, weapons, tools, cultivation techniques, and so on. You will understand these things when you arrive at the Eastern continent, and I can't explain it clearly now. Zhang Jingmiao gave a brief introduction, and waved her hand without saying anything else. Only by keeping Lin Yi in suspense would it make him want to join Feiyang College even more. Chapter 60-50. The dinner was a joyous one, and Lin Yi left with Languza, preparing to head to the King of Junk's crafting pool. The sky was already dark, and the flying saucer and red dust phenomenon should have been completed by now. As long as he got them, he'd be able to fly straight to Middle Island. However, as soon as Lin Yi and Lan Xuanyu walked out of Towering Pavilion, they saw Li Jingming pacing back and forth at the door, looking a little anxious. Li Jingming, why are you here? Lin Yi was surprised, but he was quite happy. He thought everyone had gone out to carry out the task with Lu Bianren, but he didn't expect that Li Jingming was still in North Island. Boss Lin, I heard you came back, so I came to wait for you. Li Jingming looked up and saw Lin. He hurried to greet him, and the anxiety on his face turned into excitement. Languza had long since gotten used to Li Jingming's underlings popping out from time to time. He patted Li Jingming's shoulder casually, pointing at his own nose. Bro, you're Li Jingming, right? I'm Languza, boss's underling. Let's get to know each other better in the future. I'm easy to get along with, as long as you take me to eat delicious food. Hello, Brother Lan. Li Jingming was slightly stunned. This big guy named Languza had a strong sense of oppression. He was definitely a master, so Li Jingming didn't dare to neglect him and greeted him politely. Lin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This guy really talked about food. He had just had dinner, but when he saw Li Jingming, he talked about food again. Li Jingming, what's the matter? You seem to be in a hurry. I didn't see you the last time I came here. They said you went out to do something. Did you just come back? Lin Yi pulled Languza aside to prevent him from interrupting again. Boss Lin Yi, I went to the old site of Qiushui Villa when you came back last time, so I didn't get to see you. I've been secretly investigating the massacre case of Qiushui Villa for the past 2 years. Finally, I got some clues, but I don't know what to do. I heard that you came back to the North Island, so I hurried to see you. I want to ask you for some advice. Li Jingming looked around and explained to Lin Yi in a low voice. Lin Yi suddenly realized that Li Jingming was busy with the Qiushui Villa. As the only survivor, the Qiushui Villa had become a demon in his heart. No wonder he went out alone and missed the chance to meet Lin Yi. It's not convenient to talk here. Let's talk after we return to Blue Cloud Pavilion. Lin Yi scanned with his divine senses. Although he didn't find anyone suspicious nearby, it was not appropriate to talk about such confidential matters at the gate of Towering Pavilion. Yes, boss. Li Jingming nodded. He didn't want to talk about the clues of Qiushui Villa here. It would be bad if he alerted the enemy. Originally, Lin Yi wanted to take Li Jingming to the cave in the casting pool. However, considering that the king of junk might have started to forge weapons and didn't want anyone to disturb him, Lin Yi gave up the idea. Boss, did you want to go somewhere just now? Li Jingming sensed Lin Yi's hesitation and asked in a low voice immediately. Oh, it's nothing, I was just about to go look for the Garbage King, but since I ran into you, I'll go back to Clear Cloud Pavilion first. Lin Yi smiled faintly. There was no need to hide anything from Li Jingming. The only thing he was worried about was whether the King of Junk would still have time to deal with Lin Yi after he started to forge the ghostly speed wings. This was also the reason why he wanted to take the item away as soon as possible. At least he could discuss with the King of Junk on how to use it. Boss, go ahead if you have something to do. My matter isn't urgent. We can talk about it after you're done. Why don't I go to Blue Cloud Pavilion first and wait for you? Although Li Jingming was anxious, he couldn't let Lin Yi delay his business. Therefore, he let Lin Yi go first without hesitation. Lin Yi thought for a moment. With his speed, it wouldn't take long for him to go to the cave and return to Blue Cloud Pavilion. If Li Jingming walked slower, they might arrive at the same time. In this way, it wouldn't be a problem for him to go to the casting pool first. Alright, you go to Blue Cloud Pavilion first and wait for me. I'll be back soon. Languza, will you come with me or go back to Blue Cloud Pavilion first? Lin Yi decided to find the King of Junk first. After dealing with Li Jingming, he could fly to Middle Island directly so that he wouldn't affect the King of Junk's forging of the ghostly speed wings. It was a trump card related to Lin Yi's combat strength and life-saving ability in the future. He couldn't afford to be careless. Of course I'll follow you, boss. Brother Li Jingming, you go back first. There's nothing to eat in boss's place. Buy some food on the way. We'll have a good chat later. Languza acted like he was very familiar with Li Jingming. Lin Yi suspected that if he didn't finish all the food in that place in the afternoon, he would probably go back with Li Jingming. Li Jingming agreed. It wasn't a big deal to prepare some food. However, it was already so late. Could it be that Boss Lin didn't stay for dinner when he went to visit Pavilion Master Shangguan? The three of them split up. Lin Yi led Languza forward quickly. Although he didn't use the lightning escape technique, his speed was still quite shocking. After a short while, they returned to the cave where the casting pool was. After entering the restriction, the King of Junk immediately noticed the arrival of Lin Yi and Languza. He immediately came out to greet them with a smile. Brother Lin, fortunately, I didn't fail you. Your mask has successfully fused with the flying saucer and the starry sky flowing flame gold. Hurry up and take it. I'm going to start refining the ghostly speed wings. The King of Junk didn't wait for Lin Yi to speak and handed the worldly phenomenon and the flying saucer to Lin. Both of these things had a faint flame burning on their surface. Moreover, they also had the same metallic luster. There was no doubt that the worldly phenomenon had not only fused with the thousand silk mask, but also a small amount of the starry sky flowing flame gold. Brother Wang, isn't the worldly phenomenon too eye-catching? Can this flame be eliminated? Lin Yi was very satisfied with the flying saucer. After inspecting it, he put it into the jade pendant space. But why the hell was the worldly phenomenon on fire? Could it even fool people? Chapter 6051. Lin immediately felt relieved. He covered his face with the red dust manifestation and tried to change his appearance. Sure enough, there was no abnormality. This time, it was the appearance of Lin Yi with the thousand silk mask. The original red dust manifestation did not have this face. He stretched out his finger and flicked the mask on his face a few times. On the surface, the reaction was exactly the same as a normal face. However, only Lin Yi knew that the strength he used was silently dissolved by the red dust manifestation. This defense was indeed very good. Not only that, when Lin Yi flicked the mask with his finger, he could faintly feel a trace of scorching flame fluctuation. Even if the intensity was not great, it was enough to surprise people. However, this was not the main point. The most beautiful thing was that the new red dust manifestation had a further improvement in disguise. Lin Yi could clearly feel that the current red dust manifestation could even be seen through by an expert at the early stage of C-splitting. Brother Wang, you are really a genius in forging. The combination of the mask and the mask is so beautiful. Lin Yi praised, and with a single thought, he changed into another look without a sound. The speed of the transformation was faster and stealthier than before. As long as Brother Lin is satisfied, it is just a small matter. The tattered king looked proud, but he still waved his hand very modestly. Brother Wang, is there any difference in the use of these two upgraded tools? Lin Yi took off the mask and put it away with satisfaction. Then, he asked the question he was most concerned about. There is no difference. Brother Lin, just use it according to the previous method. The tattered king was very conceited. If he casually changed the way he used it, wouldn't he not be able to show his ability? He just further optimized the original way of using it. For example, the speed of changing the face in the mask would not have any impact on Lin Yi's habits. Great. This time, I really thank Brother Wang. I still have something to do, so I will go first. I will come back to find Brother Wang after a period of time. Take care. Lin Yi did not continue to delay. Li Jingming was still waiting for him to talk about the Qiushui manor. So, he immediately cupped his hands and bid farewell. There is no need for thanks between us. If you have something to do, just go ahead. The ghost speed wings will be finished in a few days. Remember to come and get it. The tattered king casually cupped his hands and said to Lin Yi and Languza. If he had not waited for Lin Yi to come to get the things, he would have already started refining the ghost speed wings. Now that the things had been handed over, he was naturally itching to start refining immediately. Lin Yi smiled faintly. He knew what the trash king was thinking like the back of his hand. He nodded slightly and left with Languza. After exiting the cave, both of them rushed to Clear Cloud Pavilion at full speed. Moments later, they arrived at Lin Yi's residence. Surprisingly, Li Jingming was not there yet. After exiting the cave, the two rushed to the Blue Cloud Pavilion at full speed. Soon, they arrived at Lin Yi's residence. Surprisingly, Li Jingming had not arrived yet. Boss, it seems that Brother Li Jingming is very kind. He knows that I like to eat, so he is buying a lot of food. He has not returned yet. Lin Yi smiled faintly, not bothering with the foodie. His consciousness spread out in the direction of the soaring pavilion to see if Li Jingming was still on the way. Unfortunately, there was no trace of Li Jingming along the way. Perhaps he really went to buy food for Languza? With this thought in mind, Lin Yi sat down and waited at ease. If Li Jingming really went to buy food, it should not take long and he would be back soon. There was a restriction against divine sense in the market area. It was not convenient for Lin Yi to break it by force. Otherwise, he would be able to determine his location. After waiting for a while, Li Jingming still did not return. Lin Yi had a vague feeling that something was wrong. Previously, Li Jingming looked so anxious. Obviously, he was very concerned about the Qiushui villa. How could he delay so much time because of Languza's casual words? Previously, Li Jingming and Languza did not know each other at all. Naturally, he did not know how big Languza's appetite was. At most, he would buy food for 4 or 5 people. He would not buy a lot of food as Languza thought. Languza, come with me to find Li Jingming. Lin Yi suddenly stood up with a serious expression. Under normal circumstances, Li Jingming should have been waiting for Lin Yi. Now that there was no trace of him, it was hard to say whether someone had secretly attacked him when he was investigating the Qiushui Villa incident. Okay. Languza did not say anything else and quickly stood up. Although he did not know why Lin Yi was suddenly so nervous, he always carried out his boss's orders without asking for the reason. Just as the two of them walked out of the door, a Blue Cloud Pavilion disciple rushed over. When he saw Lin Yi, he immediately revealed a surprised expression. He increased his speed and rushed in front of the two of them with cupped fists and bowed. Senior brother Lin Yi, you really came back. Please hurry and save senior brother Li Jingming. The Blue Cloud Pavilion disciple did not have the time to catch his breath. His breathing was a little chaotic as he spoke. Lin Yi's eyes narrowed. He raised his hand and shot out a stream of true qi to help the Blue Cloud Pavilion disciple adjust his breathing. Don't be anxious. Tell me where Li Jingming is. When senior brother Li was buying food, for some reason, he got into a conflict with the Zhou family. After that, they broke his arms and legs and took him away. I saw it from afar. Although I wanted to help senior brother Li, I was too weak. If I went up, I would only be sending myself to death. This Blue Cloud Pavilion disciple was only a golden core stage cultivator. If Li Jingming's arms and legs were broken and taken away, he would only be sending himself to death. It was better for him to come back and ask for help. Who is the Zhou family? How dare they injure my Languza's brother? Before Lin Yi could say anything, Languza had already roared in anger. Li Jingming had gotten into trouble because he went to buy food for him. Naturally, this guy thought that this matter was caused by him. Even if it had nothing to do with him, his boss's little brother was still his brother. He absolutely could not tolerate his brother being bullied. When the Blue Cloud Pavilion disciple felt the aura that erupted from Languza, his knees immediately weakened. He almost fell to the ground. Even if it was not directed at him, a strand of qi released by a mountain opening stage cultivator was enough to crush him. Fortunately, Lin Yi acted in time to protect this disciple. He did not let him be affected by Languza's aura. Languza, calm down first. Lin Yi raised his hand to stop Languza from continuing to roar. Right now, he needed to know where Li Jingming went. Junior brother, where is the Zhou family? Chapter 6052. Senior brother Lin, the Zhou family is one of the aristocratic families on the North Island. Their disciples are distributed among the 3 pavilions. They are considered a relatively good family on the North Island. Their ancestral home is in Sunset Hill, north of the island. The Blue Cloud Pavilion disciple did not dare to be negligent and pointed out the direction to Lin Yi. Lin Yi knew that the Zhou family was just an ordinary aristocratic family. The so-called relatively good family from the Blue Cloud Pavilion disciple's mouth could not be compared to the hidden ancient aristocratic family. Even if it was an ancient aristocratic family, if they dared to touch Lin Yi's little brother like this, they would not be able to live in peace, let alone an ordinary aristocratic family. Was Li Jingming taken away by someone from the Zhou family? Did he go to Sunset Hill or somewhere else? Lin Yi looked coldly in the direction of Sunset Hill to determine Li Jingming's whereabouts. Senior brother Lin, I only saw the Zhou family take senior brother Li away. I really don't know where he was taken. The ones who took senior brother Li should be Zhou Nianqing and a few guards from the Zhou family. The Blue Cloud Pavilion disciple, who had calmed down, looked a little ashamed. In fact, he did not dare to get too close to the Zhou family and rushed back to report the news. He really did not know where Li Jingming was taken. It doesn't matter. We will look one place at a time. Is there any property of the Zhou family near the place where Li Jingming was taken? Lin Yi originally wanted to go to Sunset Hill directly, but after thinking about it, he felt that Li Jingming might not have been taken to Sunset Hill. The matter of settling accounts could be delayed. The urgent matter was to rescue Li Jingming. Yes, there is a restaurant there. It is the property of the Zhou family. Senior brother Li is likely to be taken to the restaurant. The Blue Cloud Pavilion disciple nodded immediately. He was very familiar with the area, so there was no need to think about it. Thank you, junior brother. Here is a small gift for you. Lin Yi casually tossed a jade bottle to the Blue Cloud Pavilion disciple, then turned to Languza, signaling him to follow. The disciple of Blue Cloud Pavilion, who had just caught the jade bottle, raised his head and saw that Lin Yi and Languza had already disappeared on the spot like ghosts. When he looked again, they had already appeared hundreds of meters away. While admiring Lin Yi and Languza in his heart, he opened the jade bottle and took a look. Immediately, he was wild with joy. There were actually 3 top-grade gold cores inside, just enough for him to advance to Gold Core Paragon. Senior brother Lin Yi's forthright and generous reputation was indeed well-deserved. In fact, for Lin Yi, the current gold core was not worth mentioning at all. With the CB Sniden as the main material, it was too easy to refine a gold core. So what if he gave a few as a thank you gift? Lin Yi was so anxious that he almost used the lightning evasion technique. If it were not for the fact that he might have to fight a big battle later and needed enough physical strength, he would really not hold back to buy time. Even so, the two of them still arrived at the market area in the shortest time possible. As soon as they entered the area, Lin Yi's divine sense swept out without any scruples and instantly found the location of Zhou Xiang restaurant. There! Lin Yi shouted in a low voice and took the lead to change direction. Languza did not say a word and followed closely behind Lin. After a few breaths, Lin Yi and Languza stood outside the entrance of Zhou Xiang restaurant. Although the location was not bad, it was not a particularly prosperous area. From this, it could be seen that the Zhou family's status in the North Island was indeed ordinary. Boss, leave it to me. Languza volunteered. This time, it was not a fight for the sake of fighting. Li Jingming was caught, and this guy was really angry. Lin Yi didn't say anything, only nodding slightly. Languza immediately took a step forward, swinging his fist and slamming the door of the restaurant. A waiter on the other side had wanted to come out and greet him with a smile, but his face paled instantly, screaming as he ran back into the restaurant. With a loud bang, the door of Zhou Xiang restaurant was completely broken. Languza had held back, otherwise the waiter would not have been able to escape at all. Lin Yi's divine awareness broke through the gap of the restriction that Languza had blasted and crazily searched for traces of Li Jingming in the restaurant. The restriction on divine awareness in this restaurant was actually not strong. Without Languza's destruction, Lin Yi could tear the restriction with his divine awareness, so the internal obstacles were instantly broken by him. The restaurant also reacted very quickly. Within 2 or 3 breaths after the door was broken, 5 or 6 cultivators had rushed out. Unfortunately, the strongest one was only at the middle stage of Yuanying realm, and the rest were at the Gold Core realm. Such ant-like existences were useless no matter how many came. As for the diners in the restaurant, they did not panic, but just avoided the range of the door, retreated to the corner, and looked out curiously. Probably they had never seen such a situation of fighting at the door, and they felt it was very fresh in their hearts. If he dared to make a move in this area, he would definitely be breaking the rules of the North Island. Most of these onlookers were thinking that even if Languza had a powerful background, it would be very difficult for him to settle this peacefully. The people from the law enforcement hall would arrive in no time, and there would not be any danger for him to stay here. Bold madman, how dare you behave atrociously in our restaurant? Don't you know what this place is? The middle stage Yuanying realm cultivator was ready to fight as soon as he came out, but after seeing Languza and Lin Yi, his heart quivered and immediately suppressed the idea of fighting and turned into a fierce but cowardly shout. It was not that this guy saw the power of Lin Yi and Lin Yi, but that this guy could not see the power of the 2 young people in front of him at all. Under normal circumstances, even if it was a master in the early stage of profound ascension, he could clearly distinguish it at a glance. Could it be that these 2 people were far beyond the early stage of profound ascension? He did not think that Lin Yi and Lin Yi were ordinary people. Just Languza's punch that broke the door and destroyed the hidden restriction was definitely not something that could be done easily. Are you King stupid? I don't know what kind of place this is, Would I come to trouble you? Languza reached out and grabbed the neck of the middle-stage Yuanying realm cultivator, lifted him up like a chicken, and sprayed a mouthful of saliva on the poor guy's face. The middle-stage Yuanying realm cultivator's face suddenly turned red, his legs kicked powerlessly, and his heart was already cold. These two people were really masters far beyond his perception range. Even in the Zhou family, there were not many such strong people. The rest of the gold core stage cultivators were completely scared, and they stood there like cicadas in winter. They didn't know what to do. The strongest among them didn't even have the ability to resist, and was so casually carried. If it was anyone else, wouldn't they be crushed to death with a finger? Lin Yi's face was as cold as frost. He glanced at those guys and asked coldly, "Where is Zhou Nianqing?" Chapter 6053. The cultivators looked at each other with trepidation, and no one had the courage to speak first. Zhou Nianqing's status in the Zhou family was not low. Whoever dared to betray him would never have a good result. The boss asks, "You don't answer, what are you looking at?" Languza screamed and used a lot of strength in his hand. The neck of the Yuanying middle stage who was pinched was suddenly broken, and he died with extreme suffocation. In fact, this guy wanted to answer Lin Yi's question. In the current situation, he could save his life. How could he care about the accounts after the fall? But Languza pinched him so that he couldn't even speak. He didn't have a chance to surrender. In the end, he was killed by Languza. This death was really unjust. Two seniors, Steward Zhou didn't come to the restaurant. We really don't know where he is. If the two seniors want to find him, it is better to go to Luoxia Hill. A Jiedon stage cultivator could no longer care about anything else and quickly stood up to answer Lin Yi's question. The death of the Yuanying middle stage was too strong for them. In the choice of dying now or dying later, this guy did not hesitate to choose the latter. With someone taking the lead, the others suddenly breathed a sigh of relief and immediately nodded in agreement. Anyway, they had to send the two gods of death away. As for who would be unlucky after going to Luoxia Hill, it was none of their business. Lin Yi was secretly disappointed. Zhou Nianqing was not here. Li Jingming would definitely not be here. It seemed that he should have gone to Luoxia Hill first. He only hoped that Li Jingming would be fine for the time being. The only reason that could make Lin Yi feel at ease was that Zhou Nianqing took away Li Jingming. At least for a short time, he would not kill him. Otherwise, there would be no need to be so troublesome. But it was difficult to guarantee that this guy would not kill Li Jingming. Languza, let's go to Luoxia Hill. Lin Yi turned and walked away. Now time is life. In case something happened to Li Jingming, it would be too late to regret. Stop right there. After breaking the doors of our Zhouxiang restaurant and killing our people, you think you can just leave like that? A loud shout suddenly rang out, and at the same time, an astonishing aura burst out. Peak middle stage profound ascension. Along with this shout, a violent attack blasted towards Lin Yi's back. Perhaps the guy who came out felt that Lin Yi was easier to deal with, so he didn't choose to attack Languza. Lin Yi didn't want to pay attention to this guy at all. Right now, it was more important to save Li Jingming. He was only at the peak of the profound ascension middle stage, and he would barely be able to raise his level. But Languza couldn't stand it. What kind of thing was this? It actually dared to sneak attack boss from behind. It simply didn't know how to write the word, death. In a flash, Languza appeared in front of the peak profound ascension middle stage cultivator who had just come out. The sneak attack on Lin Yi had long been dispersed by him, and with a casual stretch of his hand, he grabbed the guy's neck and lifted him up. Are you King courting death? You dare to sneak attack my boss, who do you think you are? Languza lifted the peak profound ascension middle stage cultivator and shook him with all his might. The Oris core stage fellows on the side were dumbfounded once again, afraid to see another expert with his neck broken. This was a peak profound ascension middle stage expert. But why was it no different from the nascent soul middle stage expert just now? And he was even grabbed by the neck with a single slap. Just what kind of strength did this big man with blue and golden hair have? Languza, don't waste time. Hurry up and kill him. Go to Sunset Hill and save him. Lin Yi coldly looked at the peak profound ascension middle stage cultivator in Languza's hand. This was a short and fat old man with a round face and no beard. He seemed to be a member of the Zhou clan. For an enemy who dared to sneak attack him, Lin Yi didn't have any mercy. "Okay, boss." Languza agreed, and was about to crush this idiot old man who thought he was very strong. "Stop. The law enforcement hall is here. Everyone stop." Suddenly, there were 5 figures approaching quickly from afar. Before they arrived, their voices had already been heard from afar. Languza didn't care whether it was the law enforcement hall or the commandment hall. If it was cotton candy, it would still be able to arouse his interest. Anyway, the boss's words were everything. "Languza, stop for a moment." Lin Yi frowned slightly. At the last moment he stopped Languza from killing him. It didn't matter to others, but he still had to give face to the law enforcement hall. After all, this was Ram Jie's territory. Lin Yi didn't want to make things too unpleasant with this guy. No matter what, he was someone that Shanghai Tianhua valued. Languza's fingers had almost sunk into the short and fat old man's neck. If Lin Yi was a moment slower, the old man would be dead. "How dare you? You dare to commit murder in front of our law enforcement hall? Put shopkeeper Zhou down immediately and follow us to the law enforcement hall to be punished. Otherwise, don't blame us for being impolite." As soon as the 5 law enforcement hall people came over, the leader roared and pointed his weapon at Lin Yi and Languza. Although none of the 5 of them could compare to the short and fat old man carried by Languza, as a member of the law enforcement hall, they naturally had a trump card to face the strong. Lin Yi's face sank. Although these 5 people were performing their duties, this attitude made him feel very uncomfortable. The 5 people stood in a specific position, forming a simple trap and kill array, surrounding Lin Yi and Zhou Tianhua. At the same time, the weapons in their hands had a faint effect of suppressing strength. If Lin Yi was only an ordinary Profound Ascension late-stage peak, he might be suppressed to around the Profound Ascension early stage. The law enforcement hall really had some tricks up their sleeves. Unfortunately, they encountered Lin Yi and Languza. These methods did not have any effect at all. Languza was a mutated sea serpent at the opening mountain period, and Lin Yi was no ordinary practitioner at the peak of the late stage of mystic ascension either. His divine sense only needed to sweep slightly, and he was able to completely remove that suppressive power. Not even a trace of it remained. "Shopkeeper Zhou, are you okay?" "Don't worry, we will save you right away." The leading law enforcement hall deacon comforted the short and fat old man loudly, and then turned to Lin Yi and Languza and shouted, still not giving up, "Do you want to defy the law enforcement hall? I will count to 3. If you don't let him go, you will be killed without mercy." How impressive! The law enforcement hall is really amazing. I want to ask, before my friend was injured and taken away by Zhou Nianqing of the Zhou family, where was your law enforcement hall? Lin Yi sneered and looked at the law enforcement hall deacon with an unkind expression. Chapter 6054. We don't know what you're talking about. We'll investigate it later. Now you're picking a quarrel. Don't force us to take action. The deacon softened a little. Obviously, he knew about Li Jingming, so he felt a little guilty when he spoke. Lin Yi's eyes turned cold. The people of the law enforcement hall knew that Li Jingming was injured and taken away, but they didn't show up to stop it. Did they collude with the Zhou family? Languza, let's go. Take the short fat man with us. With suspicion in his heart, Lin Yi didn't want to talk nonsense with these people of the law enforcement hall. He changed his mind and didn't kill the short fat old man. Instead, he took him as a hostage, thinking that maybe he could exchange him for Li Jingming. Since this short and stout old man was the shopkeeper of Zhou Xiang restaurant and his surname was Zhou, he should be an important member of the Zhou clan. The value of exchanging him for Li Jingming was enough. After rescuing Li Jingming, it wouldn't be too late to settle the score with the Zhou clan. How dare you? How dare you be so arrogant in front of the law enforcement hall? Did I let you go? Today, you can only go to the prison of the law enforcement hall. Follow us. Once you resist, we'll kill you. The deacon of the law enforcement hall roared angrily. It was the first time for him to be ignored like this. In the North Island, the law enforcement hall was a very aloof existence, and the top management of the 3 pavilions would not be so rude. I'm going to save people. This should be the business of the law enforcement hall, but now you want me to do it. When it's over, I'll go to Ram Jie and ask him if the law enforcement hall has changed its surname to Zhou. Lin Yi snorted and turned to leave. If these guys dared to take action, he was not afraid that Ram Jie would turn against him. Languza naturally carried the short fat old man and followed behind Lin. At the same time, he stared at the 5 people of the law enforcement hall with an unkind face. The leading law enforcement hall deacon felt a chill in his heart. He did have dealings with the Zhou family, and he had received a lot of benefits from them. If this matter was reported to the higher-ups, the result would be unpredictable. If this guy knew Lin Yi, he wouldn't be so partial to the Zhou family. However, Lin Yi had been away for 2 or 3 years. Although he was famous in the North Island, not many people really knew him. These people from the law enforcement hall didn't know Lin Yi. Because of this, they made the worst decision, to attack and capture Lin Yi. The leading law enforcement hall deacon didn't know whether Lin Yi really knew Ram Jie or not. Anyway, as long as he brought Ram Jie into the law enforcement hall, he could decide how to deal with Ram Jie later. Therefore, he directly launched an attack on Lin Yi without even greeting him, let alone counting to 3. At this time, the 5 people were in a linked formation. After the leader launched an attack, the remaining 4 people would naturally cooperate to attack. 5 genuine qi intertwined to form a genuine qi net, falling directly on Lin Yi. They also saw that between Lin Yi and Languza was just a follower, so as long as they could control Lin Yi, they could easily win. Lin Yi had expected their attack. With a shake of his body, he turned back and rushed into the encirclement of the 5 people. His raging fire 8 diagrams palm suddenly shot out. To be honest, these 5 guys from the law enforcement hall were somewhat powerful when they joined forces. But in the eyes of Lin Yi, it was nothing. 1 raging fire 8 diagrams palm was enough to solve the problem. The net-like attack formed by the 5 streaks of true qi was swept away by the raging flames. Not even a trace of residue was left. Not only that, the deacon at the front was also hit in the chest, and a crisp sound of bones breaking rang out. This guy was directly sent flying, and the people behind him were sent flying back. The raging flame aftermath did not target anyone. But once the formation was broken, the remaining 3 people couldn't even withstand this degree of aftermath. They all spat out a mouthful of blood, staggered a few steps back, and then collapsed to the ground. I'll spare your lives first. We'll settle the accounts later. Lin Yi withdrew his attack and retreated. After leaving a cold sentence, he quickly swept towards the sunset hill with Languza, leaving behind horrified gazes as they watched the 2 of them disappear into the distance in awe. The surrounding onlookers were all wondering who this ruthless man was. He even dared to beat the people of the law enforcement hall. Although he didn't kill a single one of them, the deacon who led the group was only left with his last breath. Who knew when he would die? After someone who knew Lin Yi revealed his identity, everyone suddenly felt that this matter was very normal. After all, he could become a legendary figure of the younger generation. He was definitely not a simple person. Then everyone felt that the Zhou family of the Sunset Hill seemed to be unlucky. Lin Yi and Languza stood outside the gate of the Zhou family. They also felt that the Zhou family would be very unlucky today. No matter why they injured and captured Li Jingming, they wouldn't be able to get away with it easily today. The ancient aristocratic families in the North Island must have strong masters at the sea-splitting stage, and the second level also had masters at the earth-opening stage. As for the Zhou family, it was just an ordinary aristocratic family. They only relied on many disciples in the 3 pavilions. The real masters were at most at the mountain opening stage. For Lin Yi, the mountain opening stage was really no match for him. If the Zhou family didn't have an earth opening stage, Languza alone was enough to wipe out the Zhou family. Not to mention there were 2 thugs at the mountain opening stage on the beach, waiting for Lin Yi to assign tasks to them so that they could fight for the opportunity to detoxify the poison as soon as possible. Boss, shall we fight our way in? Or shall we call them out here? Languza was still carrying the short and fat old shopkeeper Zhou. This time, he was afraid that he would accidentally kill him again, so he was very careful to grab his collar, so that the old man had a chance to breathe. However, the short and fat old man's cultivation was completely sealed, so he couldn't even speak, let alone resist. Lin Yi's divine sense completely enveloped the sunset mound and carefully observed it. The Zhou family's villa had a defense formation, but the level was not high. It was only a level 5 defense formation. Lin Yi's formation skills had improved again. Although he could only arrange a level 3 formation, he could also see through a level 5 formation. It was a little difficult to break the formation, but he could barely get in and out. It's too passive to wait for them to come out. Let's fight our way in. Lin Yi smiled faintly. As long as he could go in, it was naturally safer to go in and save people. Anyway, it was only a level 5 formation, which couldn't trap them. Okay, boss, just watch me. Languza suddenly looked happy. He liked this kind of thing the most. In addition, there was the factor of saving Li Jingming. This guy was definitely 100 times more spirited. He strode to the gate of the Zhou family's villa. Chapter 6055. In fact, at this time, the report of the incident at Zhou Xiang restaurant was about to arrive. However, Lin Yi and Zhou Xiang were too fast. They were completely ahead of the Zhou clan's defenses. Languza couldn't be bothered with such a small character. He casually punched the door and smashed it into pieces. The Zhou clan's defensive spirit array was usually at its lowest consumption. As the entrance and exit, the door was in a defenseless state before it was fully opened. Therefore, Languza was able to easily destroy it. Following the sound of the alarm, a layer of light flashed on the dilapidated door. Immediately, a faint layer of light enveloped the entire manor. The defensive spirit array that was at its lowest consumption state was instantly activated. Languza's second punch landed on the faint layer of light. It created ripples, but it couldn't cause any damage to the manor behind the light layer. Languza, hit here. Li called out. A lightning arc instantly appeared on a point on the light layer. Languza didn't say anything. He punched with all his strength and followed the lightning arc. After a single punch, a crack as tall as a person appeared. Boss, you're really amazing. You found the entrance so quickly. Languza laughed and praised. Then he carried shopkeeper Zhou and entered the crack. Lin Yi smiled faintly and didn't say anything as he followed them in. This defensive spirit array had just been activated to its full capacity. The energy hadn't been stable yet. Therefore, the entrance was easily opened. After it stabilized, Languza would need to punch at least 5 or 6 times in order to achieve the same effect. The Zhou clan member who had fallen behind the dilapidated door was shocked. He didn't expect that the defensive spirit array wouldn't be able to stop the intruders for even a breath's time. Although there were many spirit arrays behind the door, since the defensive spirit array couldn't stop the intruders, the spirit array inside was at most of the same grade. It would be very difficult to stop the 2 intruders. Seeing that the situation was far from good, this fellow immediately crawled up and ran inside without a care for his life. He was probably going to inform the Zhou clan to prepare their strongest defensive force, right? Lin Yi did not care about such a small fry. He overtook Languza from behind and led the way. After a few turns, they successfully walked out of the first defensive formation and entered the gates of the Zhou clan's manor house. Of course, the gates no longer existed. Boss, the Zhou family's house is quite beautiful. Why don't we snatch it and give it to brother Li Jingming to help him calm down? What do you think? As soon as Languza entered the restaurant, he planned to give this place to Li Jingming. In the future, it would be natural for him to come over and freeload for food. He could enjoy the scenery and the delicacies. What a joy! Let's save Li Jingming first. Lin Yi did not expect this fellow to have such thoughts. His divine sense was already constantly breaking through the restrictions that restricted his search. He began to forcibly search for Li Jingming's whereabouts. However, before he could find Li Jingming, he discovered that more than a dozen experts from the Zhou clan had already gathered and were rushing in this direction. To be exact, the 2 sides were about to meet in this large courtyard. Boss, there are quite a lot of these fellows, but they are all trash. You can go find brother Li Jingming. Leave this trash to me, Languza, to clean up. Languza also discovered these people coming over. He looked slightly excited. Fighting was as fascinating as eating delicious food. If he could eat and fight at the same time, that would definitely be the most wonderful thing in the world. The only thing that could be more wonderful than this was perhaps wearing super handsome clothes and fighting while eating delicious food. Apart from this, there was nothing else. Lin Yi stopped in his tracks and waved his hand to signal Languza not to speak. Then he looked at the 13 people approaching quickly. These two friends, why did you break my Zhou clan's mountain gate and capture our restaurant's shopkeeper? Did we offend you in some way? The old man in front had a gloomy expression, but he still forced a smile and asked politely. Among the 13 people, besides the old man who spoke, who was at the peak of the early mountain opening stage, there was also a middle-aged woman who was also at the early mountain opening stage. The rest, without exception, were all profound ascension stage and nascent soul stage cultivators. This kind of strength was not bad outside, but Lin Yi did not even have the interest to fight. They were really too weak. Only Languza could even fight against profound stage opponents. Nascent soul stage and profound ascension stage were no problem at all. Who is Zhou Nianqing? He captured my brother Li Jingming. Hand him over immediately, and I can return this short and fat old man to you. As long as you give reasonable compensation, I will not pursue your fault. Lin Yi put his hands behind his back and stood upright. He looked at them indifferently and gave them a chance to live. The old man's expression darkened. He sneered, "So you are the accomplices of the Qiushui Villa's remnants. Since that is the case, don't leave today. Go and accompany your brother." Before he finished speaking, the formation in the villa started to activate. There was a level 5 trap and kill formation in the courtyard. The reason why the Zhou clan hurried over was to stop Lin Yi and Zhou Nianqing here so that they could use the trap and kill formation to deal with them. Although Lin Yi had shown his decent formation skills when he entered the defense formation, this level 5 trap and kill formation was not ordinary. As long as they could trap them for a few breaths of time, the 13 of them would definitely be able to kill the 2 of them. At first, the old man of the Zhou clan wanted to probe Lin Yi's background, so he was polite to him. Now that he knew that Lin Yi was Li Jingming's accomplices, he was not interested in pretending. When the trap and kill formation was activated, the 13 experts of the Zhou clan also attacked together. Lin Yi sneered. If he was alone, it would be difficult to find a way out of the level 5 trap and kill formation quickly and safely. But with the Ghost, an Earth-level formation master, the level 5 formation was not worth mentioning at all. When the 13 people of the Zhou clan launched the formation, Lin Yi threw out several ordinary formation flags to delay the activation of the level 5 trap and kill formation for a while. If he had more advanced formation flags, he could even use this formation to attack the Zhou clan under the guidance of the Ghost. It was a pity that Lin Yi only had the ordinary formation flags he bought. When he came to the North Island to get the Ghost Speed Wings next time, it seemed that he had to ask the King of Rags to refine some advanced formation flags for backup. "Languza, do it?" Lin Yi shouted in a low voice and rushed to the Zhou clan first. He wanted to take them down before the formation was activated. Chapter 6056. Hearing Lin Yi's call, Languza also rushed forward and threw shopkeeper Zhou as a weapon towards the enemy. Thinking about how he carried the shopkeeper all the way here but didn't get to use it, Languza felt a bit unlucky. Not good. The formation isn't activated, retreat. The old man who spoke before realized that something was wrong and immediately turned around to retreat. However, the only one who could keep up with his speed was the middle-aged woman at the early mountain opening stage. The other 11 profound ascending stage and nascent soul stage cultivators of the Zhou clan had already rushed forward. It was too late for them to retreat. Lin Yi and Languza didn't use any profound martial skills at all. They just used simple punches and kicks. In the blink of an eye, they had taken down all 11 profound ascending stage cultivators. Including shopkeeper Zhou, 12 people were lying on the ground. There was no one left alive. Since Lin Yi could say that they were the remnants of the Qiushui villa, what was there to be polite about? After today, the Zhou clan would completely disappear. The remaining old man and middle-aged woman from the Zhou clan felt cold. They knew their own strength very well. If they wanted to kill 12 profound ascending stage and nascent soul stage cultivators, they would at least need to use martial skills. It would definitely be impossible for them to kill 12 profound ascending stage and nascent soul stage cultivators as easily as Lin Yi and Languza. In other words, the two of them staying here was probably just to make the other party slightly more serious. The speed at which they died shouldn't be much slower than the 12 clan members. With this realization, the two of them madly used their Jin Qi. Even if it would leave behind a huge hidden danger, they didn't care. Right now, as long as they could escape from this courtyard, they might be able to save their lives. However, the next moment, the two mountain opening stage cultivators from the Zhou clan fell into the abyss of despair. This was because Lin Yi had already appeared in front of them like a ghost and was looking at them mockingly. The old man in front made up his mind and used his strongest martial skill to try and force Lin Yi to retreat. No matter what, he had to open up a path to escape. Although the middle-aged woman was frightened, she hesitated for a moment and quickly cooperated with the old man's attack. "Have you all forgotten that I'm here? How can you find my boss for something like a fight?" Languza suddenly appeared between the two of them. He chuckled softly and spread his hands apart. The two men from the Zhou family felt as if they had fallen into an ice cave. Lin Yi and Languza's speed was so astonishing that even if they wanted to escape, they wouldn't be able to outrun the two of them. The only way to survive was to kill one of them first, then deal with the other. The old man's attack abruptly changed its direction and changed its target to Languza. The middle-aged woman, however, was unable to immediately understand his intentions. She dodged Languza's palm while continuing to attack Lin. Languza stretched out his hands and made a circle. The two men's attacks suddenly lost their aim. They were involuntarily pulled by an invisible force and collided together in the air. Lin Yi stood motionless in front. The aftermath of those attacks didn't affect him at all. After Languza dealt with these attacks, he easily controlled the two men with one hand. "Boss, do you want to kill these two?" Languza grabbed the two men's necks and easily carried them in front of Lin. If it wasn't for the emergency treatment of Li Jingming, this guy would have been able to deal with them for a long time. But now, he didn't have the slightest bit of sloppiness. Lin Yi was quite satisfied with this. "Where are Zhou Nianqing and Li Jingming? Tell me and I will let the women and children of the Zhou family live. If you don't tell me, the Zhou family will be destroyed." Lin Yi's face was extremely cold. Although he didn't mean to kill the old, the weak, the women and the children, it was still effective to scare the two men. As expected, the old man and the middle-aged woman's faces changed greatly. Languza loosened his hands so that they could speak. "You can't do this. This is the North Island. The law enforcement hall will never agree to kill the whole family." As soon as the old man caught his breath, he immediately shouted loudly. Unfortunately, this was not the answer Lin Yi wanted to hear. A palm with a residual shadow slapped the old man's face, making a clear slap. Lin Yi didn't use true qi, but the ordinary force knocked out two of the old man's teeth, and half of his face quickly became red and swollen. "My patience is limited. Don't talk nonsense with me." Lin Yi withdrew his palm and turned to the middle-aged woman with cold eyes. "You tell me. Otherwise, the Zhou family will be the next Qiushui villa." The middle-aged woman couldn't help shivering and hurriedly said, "The Zhou family has nothing to do with the Qiushui villa. You can't vent your anger on the Zhou family." Lin Yi's eyes narrowed slightly. His eyes pierced the middle-aged woman's heart like needles. She just realized that she still seemed to be talking nonsense and didn't directly answer Lin Yi's question. The reason why he didn't get slapped like the old man was probably that Lin Yi was not used to hitting women, but this kind of preferential treatment obviously couldn't last long. Zhou Nianqing didn't return to the Zhou family. He just sent someone to send a message, saying that he caught the fish that escaped the net of Qiushui villa. What I said is true. It's just a waste of time if you want to find the person you want to find here. So my boss asked you, where on earth did that bastard Zhou Nianqing take my brother? If you say another word of nonsense, do you believe that I won't tear you apart? Languza roared and used the old man's head to hit the middle-aged woman's head. These two people's cultivation was sealed, and their bodies were only a bit stronger than ordinary people. After being hit by Languza, they immediately felt dizzy and almost fainted. "Languza, be gentle. I still have questions to ask." Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Fortunately, this guy held back his strength. Otherwise, these two people's heads would have exploded. Languza smiled embarrassedly and quickly shook his arms a few times to wake the two people up as soon as possible. I don't have time to beat around the bush with you. The next sentence is not the answer I want. The Zhou family will be destroyed, and I will search your souls. Lin Yi returned to his cold tone and raised his hand to point between the middle-aged woman's eyebrows. The devouring power of the primordial spirit was not released, but it was enough to make the woman feel that her primordial spirit was about to leave her body. Was it really the soul-searching technique? Chapter 6057. Zhou Nianqing took the man he caught to the Li family. This really has nothing to do with our Zhou family. It's all Zhou Nianqing's doing. Senior, please let us live. The middle-aged woman was sweating like rain and her lips were trembling, but she did not dare to fight. As for saying that it had nothing to do with the Zhou family, Lin Yi would not believe it at all. If it really had nothing to do with them, he would not have said the words of the remnants of Qiushui Villa just now. In the massacre of Qiushui Villa, even if the Zhou family was not the main culprit, it must be an accomplice. Which Li family? Where is it? Lin Yi frowned slightly. He had not found Li Jingming in 2 places in a row. A lot of time had been wasted. If it went on like this, it would be difficult to guarantee his safety. Li Shuigao's family in the North Island's Elders' Council. The Li family's villa is in the west of the North Island. Go in that direction and you can see it. The middle-aged woman did not dare to have the slightest neglect. She quickly finished her words and then looked at Lin Yi uneasily, hoping that he could go to the Li family to find trouble and let go of the Zhou family. Langiza, destroy the old man and take this woman to the Li family. Lin Yi had no time to delay. The Zhou family must be eliminated, but compared with Li Jingming, it was not a big deal. After rescuing the main person, he would decide how to deal with it. Anyway, the elites of the Zhou family had been wiped out. It didn't matter to deal with them sooner or later. Languza agreed and simply destroyed the old man's cultivation. Then he carried the middle-aged woman and flew to the west of the North Island with Lin Yi. Tell me about the Li family's situation. Lin Yi's true qi blocked all the gale in front of him and turned to look at the middle-aged woman in Languza's hand. He took her with him because he wanted to get some information before he arrived at the Li family. Only by knowing oneself and the enemy could one be invincible. The situation in the North Island was quite complicated. Lin Yi didn't want to know nothing about the enemy, which was not good for rescuing Li Jingming. The middle-aged woman had accepted her fate and answered quite cooperatively. The Li family is a new family that has risen in recent years. The most powerful one is Li Shuigao, the family master. It is said that he has reached the peak of the mountain opening realm or even the early stage of the earth opening realm. He is a very powerful one in the North Island's Elders Club. Lin immediately felt relieved. If it was just this strength, Languza would be able to deal with it. It seemed that rescuing Li Jingming was not as difficult as he had imagined. In particular, this Li family was just a newly risen family. It lacked a deep heritage and it didn't have an old monster at the sea-splitting stage behind it. It couldn't be considered as terrifying. This Li Shuigao is the mastermind of the extermination case of Qiushui Villa. In fact, many people know about this, but everyone has a tacit understanding. Speaking of which, Li Shuigao is the adopted son of the owner of Qiushui Villa. The owner treated him well in the beginning. I don't know what happened, but later he took people to exterminate Qiushui Villa. The middle-aged woman was very cooperative and told him all these secrets. Maybe she hoped that she could move Lin Yi with this attitude and finally ask for a way out. Li Shuigao is indeed an ungrateful and despicable person. I heard that he is a junior of the family of the wife of the owner of Qiushui Villa. Because his family fell, he came to the wife of the owner of Qiushui Villa. That's why he was adopted and treated as his own son. Who knew that he would bring such a terrible disaster in the end? The middle-aged woman said as she stole a glance at Lin Yi, showing a very sad expression. Lin Yi suddenly understood. Li Jingming's original name was Qiu Jiming, and his enemy was Li Shuigao. Why did he change his surname to Li instead of another surname? It turned out that it wasn't to remember his enemy, But because his mother's surname was Li. Was Li Shuigao already so powerful a dozen years ago? Lin Yi suddenly thought of this problem. If Li Shuigao was already at the mountain opening stage, then it wouldn't be difficult for him to secretly replace Li Jingming's father as the owner of Qiushui Villa. Why did he have to create a scandal of massacring his benefactor's entire family? The middle-aged woman was slightly startled. Her actual age was naturally far from middle-aged. It was just that she was already middle-aged when she could slow down the aging process. So, she really knew a lot about the things that happened a dozen or 2 decades ago. For example, when Qiushui Villa was not destroyed, she just happened to know how strong Li Shuigao was. In fact, at that time, Li Shuigao was just a nobody, and his strength was far from being on par with hers. It was quite a coincidence that she knew of Li Shuigao, so there was no need to mention it. However, in just a few decades, Li Shuigao had turned from an ant that could only look up to her into an expert that she had to look up to. Thinking about it carefully, it was really incredible. At that time, Li Shuigao's strength was only at the early nascent soul stage. He was just a talented young elite. Compared to me, who was at the peak of the late mysterious ascension stage, he was not even worth mentioning. Even in Qiushui Villa, he was not a particularly powerful expert. I just didn't expect him to soar to the sky. Perhaps he had some kind of fortuitous encounter? The middle-aged woman's heart suddenly moved. Could this be the reason why Qiushui Villa was destroyed by Li Shuigao? Why didn't she think about this before? If it wasn't for Lin Yi asking about it today, she still wouldn't have thought of this possibility. Lin Yi was different. He immediately felt that something was wrong. Li Shuigao's sudden increase in strength was probably directly related to the case of Qiushui Villa. Normally, it was impossible to increase one's strength so quickly, especially after reaching the mysterious ascension stage. Li Shuigao went from the nascent soul stage to the peak mountain opening stage and even the early earth opening stage. Compared to Lin Yi, it was as slow as a snail. But compared to this middle-aged woman, it was obvious how terrifying this guy's cultivation speed was. This middle-aged woman was already at the peak of the late mysterious ascension stage at that time. It took her nearly 20 years to break through to the early mountain opening stage. Although her speed was not fast, it was definitely not slow either. But what about Li Shuigao? Haven't you heard about the reason why Qiushui Villa was destroyed? Don't tell me that your Zhou clan had nothing to do with it. Lin Yi glanced at the middle-aged woman. If the Zhou clan had nothing to do with it, they wouldn't be so proactive in helping Li Shuigao catch Li Jingming. The middle-aged woman smiled bitterly and shook her head. She knew that no matter what she said, she wouldn't be able to get rid of the responsibility for the Zhou clan. So she simply admitted, yes, the Zhou clan did participate in the case of Qiushui Villa. But I can swear that we only received an offer that we couldn't refuse. We sent our elites to block the escape route of Qiushui Villa. We didn't participate in the massacre at all. So I really don't know the inside story at all. Chapter 6058. But Li Shuigao did get the biggest benefit. Not only did his strength soar, but he also became a powerful figure on the North Island. It seemed that he could only figure out the truth when he met the ungrateful man. It's not Li Shuigao. It's a very powerful masked man. We still don't know who the masked man was. The middle-aged woman was helpless. She really didn't know who the masked man was. Otherwise, she would definitely tell Lin Yi in exchange for his favor. Whether she could survive or not depended on her performance at this time. Lin Yi frowned slightly. The first thing he thought of was the people from the center. This kind of secretive style of doing things and the way of controlling and advancing was really like the center. The massacre of Qiushui Villa happened 18 or 19 years ago. Could it be that the center had already made arrangements on the Heaven Stage Island at that time? But it was also possible. According to the time of his master, the center had existed for a long time, but the Central Chamber of Commerce had just risen. Boss, we're almost at the west area of the North Island. Is the Li family located in that villa? Languza interrupted the conversation between Lin Yi and the middle-aged woman and pointed to a large building on the hillside in the distance. That's right. That's the Li clan's manor. Seniors, seeing that I've always been very cooperative and told you everything I know, can you let me live? The middle-aged woman confirmed and then looked at Lin Yi carefully, hoping that he would be kind enough to let her go. Boss, should I kill her or disable her? Languza asked for Lin Yi's opinion, but the guy had no intention of letting the middle-aged woman go. In his opinion, not killing her was already very lenient. First, seal her strength and throw her in a hidden place nearby. We'll talk about other things after we rescue Li Jingming. Lin Yi didn't have the habit of killing women, and she was indeed very cooperative. It would be unreasonable to kill or disable her directly. It was better to put her aside and wait for Li Jingming to decide how to deal with it. With regards to Lin Yi's decision, Languza did not have any objections. He quickly sealed the middle-aged woman's cultivation and casually found a hidden place to throw her there. Lin Yi casually threw out some ordinary array flags and set up the simplest level 1 concealment array formation. This was to prevent any wild beasts from coming out and biting her. After all, she was an expert at the mountain opening stage. If she really died like this, it would be too tragic. After doing all this, the two of them continued on their way to the Li clan's manor. Lin Yi's divine sense swept out first, enveloping the entire manor. They actually have a level 7 defense formation. This Li family is really not simple. Lin Yi was slightly surprised. A level 7 array formation had already stepped into the earth rank. It was completely different from a level 6 array formation. After being on the heaven rank island for so long, it was very rare for Lin Yi to see an earth rank array formation. Most of them were mystic rank or even yellow rank low rank array formations. If there wasn't a ghost, he wouldn't even be able to enter the Li clan's manor. Boss, my divine sense can't sweep in. There is no way to break the restriction of this manor. Languza tried for a while, but could only helplessly give up on the idea of using his divine sense to continue exploring. It doesn't matter. We will directly fight our way in. Today, you can attack straightforwardly. Just don't screw up. Lin Yi smiled faintly. A level 7 defense formation was too difficult for him, but for an earth rank array formation grandmaster, it was nothing. It wasn't difficult to enter the Li clan's manor. Great. I was waiting for boss to say that. Languza's face lit up. He rolled up his sleeves and prepared to fight. As they spoke, the two of them arrived at the mountain gate below the manor. They were stopped by 2 Li clan guards. This is a private place. If you have nothing to do, please leave immediately. Otherwise, you will bear the consequences. Seeing the two of them coming over, one of them stepped forward to stop them. He probably saw that Lin Yi and Languza were relatively unfamiliar, so he wasn't very polite. Languza looked at Lin Yi with his eyes. He didn't know if he could make a move now. Lin Yi shook his head slightly. He still needed to confirm it first. He couldn't just listen to the middle-aged woman's side of the story. If things weren't as he thought, wouldn't he be used as a spear in vain? You too, we are people from the Zhou clan of Sunset Hill. Just now, our deacon Zhou Nianqing brought a person over. I don't know if it's convenient for us to meet him? Lin Yi smiled slightly and politely asked with cupped fists. As long as it was confirmed that Zhou Nianqing had indeed come, Li Jingming was naturally also inside. Hearing that Lin Yi was a person from the Zhou clan, the faces of the 2 guards looked a little better. The one who spoke before nodded slightly and said, "It turns out to be a friend of the Zhou clan. Zhou Nianqing just sent the person in for a while. If you have nothing important to do, just wait here. You should be able to see him come out soon." This guy waved his hand very arrogantly. He didn't mean to inform Lin Yi and Languza at all. Obviously, the ordinary people of the Zhou clan were not worth mentioning in their eyes. What's more, they came to find Zhou Nianqing. Being able to let Lin Yi and Languza wait at the door was already very good. Sorry, we have very important things to do. We can't wait. Lin Yi smiled faintly. Languza understood tacitly. He immediately moved behind him like a ghost to the front of the 2 guards and punched out. The violent true qi exploded. Although it wasn't a frontal attack on either of them, it still rolled the 2 guards into the air. Finally, they hit the stone steps in front of the mountain gate. They vomited blood and fainted. Boss, do we need to kill this kind of weak chicken? Languza turned to look at Lin. He didn't care about killing people. He was afraid that Lin Yi would be unhappy after killing them. That's why he held back. They didn't take the initiative to attack us. They also didn't pose a threat. Let's leave them alive first and wait for Li Jingming to decide whether or not to kill them. Lin Yi casually replied and entered the mountain gate of the Li clan villa first. In essence, Lin Yi was not a bloodthirsty person. Unless those who threatened himself or the people around him were enemies, he would not hesitate to kill. The Li clan villa was Li Jingming's enemy. Lin Yi could go and save people. But how to retaliate, it was still up to Li Jingming to decide. I understand. Boss, I'll open the way. Languza already had a plan in his heart. He immediately stepped forward. Those who didn't pose a threat and didn't take the initiative to attack could keep their lives. Otherwise, they could be killed. Lin Yi stretched out his hand and pulled Languza, who had just passed him, back. You go in front. What if the Li clan villa activates the formation? Follow me obediently. Chapter 6059. Boss, you're really thorough. Languza was a little apprehensive about formations. He hurriedly returned to Lin Yi's side and vigilantly observed the surroundings. Sure enough, as Lin Yi expected, although the two of them were fast, the Li family's mountain villa's formation was activated after traveling a distance of 80 to 100 meters. A level 7 trap formation, similar to the defensive formation outside. However, its power is much weaker than a normal level 7 formation. It seems like the person who set it up is very limited. The ghostly thing had a look of disdain. It was a top-notch Earth-level formation master. This kind of formation could barely be considered as a level 7 formation. It was really not worth mentioning. Senior Ghost, help me break through the trap formation quickly. Li Jingming is waiting for me to save him. Lin Yi really wanted to take this opportunity to study the Tao of formations. Unfortunately, time waits for no man. Something might happen to Li Jingming, so he had to find him as soon as possible. You brat, you still have the nerve to say that? You've learned the Tao of formations from me for so long, but you can't even deal with this kind of broken formation. Rotten wood cannot be carved. The ghostly thing laughed strangely and ridiculed. In reality, Lin Yi's comprehension of Tao of formations was definitely among the geniuses. Lin Yi was speechless. How long had he studied Tao of formations? He was already a peak golden level formation master. Although he could not set up a mystic level formation, he could still barely do it without being affected. If this was considered rotten wood, then everything in the world was probably rotten wood. The ghostly thing was just joking. It would not delay its business. After making fun of Lin Yi, it pointed him to quickly find the nodes of the formation and easily brought Languza out of the influence of the trap formation. After a short while, Lin Yi and Languza arrived at the entrance of the Li family's villa. This was a large piece of flat rock halfway up the mountain. The Li family's lower-level disciples usually practiced their martial arts here. At this time, there were already 5 people waiting for Lin Yi and Languza at the entrance. Hey, if it isn't Lin Yi, the rookie king of Blue Cloud Pavilion a few years back. What brings you here today? One of them recognized Lin Yi and walked over in a strange manner. Who are you? Lin Yi glanced at this old man and couldn't remember when he had met such a person. This guy was stunned for a moment, and a flash of embarrassment and annoyance appeared on his face. He knew Lin Yi, but Lin Yi didn't know him. Didn't this mean that the two of them weren't on the same level? I'm the steward of the mysterious pavilion, Li Inko from the Li family of the North Island. Junior brother Lin, you're so famous that it's understandable that you don't know a nobody like me. This old guy called Li Inko looked unhappy. His words were still sarcastic, but his momentum had completely weakened. You know you're a nobody, but you still talk so much nonsense. This great lord's big brother doesn't have the time to bother with you. Hurry up and scram to the side. Lan Gu glared at Li Inko, his fiendish demeanor instantly giving Li Inko a fright. He wanted to lose his temper, but somehow, looking at Languza, he felt a chill in his heart and didn't dare to continue to speak. Where is Zhou Nianqing? Lin Yi didn't have time to deal with such a nobody. He was just a steward of the mysterious pavilion, and his cultivation was only at the peak of the nascent soul realm. If he dared to take the initiative to attack, Languza would be happy to teach him a lesson. The thin middle-aged man at the edge of the 5 people trembled slightly and subconsciously moved his feet. You are Zhou Yanqing? Lin Yi's eyes were like lightning, staring coldly at the thin man. Yes, I am Zhou Yanqing. What do you want from me? Zhou Yanqing knew that he couldn't hide it, and he was confident that he was now in the Li family villa, and there was no problem with safety, so he puffed out his chest and pretended to be calm and looked at Lin Yi. Where is Li Jingming? Lin Yi didn't talk nonsense and went straight to the point. At the same time, the momentum of his body slowly rose. Among the 5 people in front of him, except for Li Yinko, who was at the peak of the nascent soul realm, 3 of them, including Zhou Yanqing, were at the profound ascension stage, and 1 was at the early stage of the mountain opening stage. However, the strength of these people was very weak. They should have accumulated their cultivation through medicinal pills. They had no advantage in front of opponents of the same level, let alone a monster like Lin Yi. Feeling the powerful momentum of Lin Yi's late stage of the profound ascension stage, except for the cultivator at the early stage of the mountain opening stage, the other 4 people couldn't help but change their expressions slightly. It was really that the speed of Lin Yi's rise was too amazing. What was his cultivation when he became the newcomer king? Only a few years had passed. In terms of cultivation speed, Lin Yi was even more terrifying than Li Shuigao, the patriarch of the Li family's villa. Since he had offended such a person, he must be killed before he grew up. The cultivator at the early stage of the mountain opening stage of the Li family secretly sent out a signal. It was estimated that he was gathering experts to surround and kill Lin. Unfortunately, he didn't know that the thing Lin Yi was least afraid of was group battles. The sea beast tide not long ago could definitely explain everything. Zhou Yanqing secretly looked at the few people of the Li family. It was true that he had captured Li Jingming, but it was a gift to the Li family. Now that Lin Yi had come to the door, he shouldn't be the one to show up no matter what. Lin Yi, who are you? How dare you bully my Li family's door? A mere blue cloud pavilion can't protect you. Even if Pavilion Master Shangguan thinks highly of you, he will never let you mess around. Li Yinko shouted fiercely. Among the people present, he was the weakest, so he was the most impatient. Lin Yi's figure flashed, leaving behind a phantom in his original place. His real body appeared behind Zhou Yanqing like a ghost. He raised his hand and shot out a subtle 5 elements murderous qi, instantly controlling this guy's ability to move. The few people of the Li family didn't realize that Zhou Yanqing had fallen into the enemy's hands until Lin Yi's phantom began to dissipate. But at this time, Lin Yi had already brought him back to his original position. He forcefully sat on the ground and stepped on Zhou Yanqing's chest, looking down at him coldly from above. I'll ask you again, where is Li Jingming? Of course, Lin Yi knew that Li Jingming was in the Li family villa, but before saving people he must first intimidate them, lest these guys make a move on Li Jingming first. That would be very bad. Zhou Yanqing stared at Lin Yi with a face full of horror. He opened his mouth wide and made a sound, but he couldn't say a clear word. Because Lin Yi's 5 elements murderous qi was wantonly destroying his meridians. That kind of pain was like the punishment in hell. Since you don't want to say it, then don't say it. Lin Yi indifferently glanced at Zhou Yanqing. He slightly exerted force with his feet, and the 5 elements murderous qi in his body immediately exploded, completely destroying all his meridians and vitality. Zhou Yanqing's quickly dimmed eyes were full of unwillingness. How could he not want to say it? He clearly didn't have the chance to say it. Chapter 60-60. The 4 people of the Li family felt cold all over. Zhou Yanqing was an expert in the early stage of profound ascension, but in the hands of Lin Yi, he was no different from an ant, and was easily crushed to death. What was even more terrifying was that they clearly saw it, but there was no way to stop it from happening. Hand over my brother Li Jingming, don't make me say it again. Lin Yi kicked Zhou Yanqing's body in front of the 4 people, and looked at them coldly. I don't know what you're talking about, but if you think the North Island's Li family will be so easily scared by you, then you're wrong. The leader of the early stage of mountain opening was still calm, and did not care about Zhou Yanqing's body, and calmly looked at Lin. Lin, go in and find him. Lin Yi did not continue to talk nonsense, and directly waved his hand to signal to start fighting. Languza laughed out loud. Seeing that his boss had gotten first place, this guy had been itching for a long time. Upon hearing Lin Yi's order, he immediately tapped his feet and brought up a gust of wind as he charged towards the 4 people from the Li family. They were both in the early stage of mountain opening, but the Li families was the weakest in the early stage of mountain opening, and Languza could compete with the weakest in the early stage of earth opening. The two were not on the same level at all. Before he arrived, the chi on his fist had already whistled, and the 4 people of the Li family had a feeling that they could not stand steadily. Whether they were in the mountain opening stage or the nascent soul stage, under Languza's fist, they could not help but take a big step back. If they stayed for a moment longer, they might directly explode and die. This was the result of Languza's mercy. He firmly remembered Lin Yi's words, only the opponent took the initiative to attack and had a threat to kill, and the 4 people in front of him did not seem to meet the requirements. Lin Yi did not care about Languza's battle, and with a tap of his foot, his figure shot out like lightning, directly towards the gate of the Li family's villa. Since Zhou Nianqing appeared here, presumably Li Jingming would not be too far away. Lin Yi rushed into the gate, his divine sense swept wildly, completely destroying some simple restrictions, just to be able to find Li Jingming as soon as possible. However, the first person he saw wasn't Li Jingming, but House Li's reinforcements. There were a total of 15 mystical ascending stage and 2 mountain opening stage masters. They were much stronger than House Zhou, but they were all the same in his eyes. Bold madman, you dare to cause trouble in our Li family, you really don't know how the word death is written. A peak profound ascension late stage cultivator roared and flew over. His hands had already condensed an extremely violent innate chi, ready to attack Lin Yi at any time. Lin Yi smiled faintly, and casually used a wildfire 8 trigrams palm. The surging flames swept the entire scene, all the supporting experts were trapped inside, the guy who bore the brunt of the attack screamed, and flew back at a speed 2 or 3 times faster than when he came. The innate chi condensed in his hands had long dissipated. The rest of the people immediately faced a great enemy, using all their strength to resist Lin Yi's wildfire 8 trigrams palm. With great difficulty, no one was injured, but no one dared to be careless anymore. I don't want to talk nonsense, hand over my brother Li Jingming, or else I will let you know how the word death is written. Lin Yi stood with his hands behind his back, and coldly swept his gaze over the dozen experts in front of him. These Li family experts felt a chill in their hearts. The peak profound ascension late stage who spoke just now, was now limp on the ground and vomiting blood. He couldn't even swallow the healing medicine. It seemed like he couldn't hold on any longer. It was he who said that Lin Yi didn't know how to write the word death, but in the end, Lin Yi directly used him to write the word death for all the Li family to see. So powerful, so impressive. I, Li Shuigao, want to see how you will let us know the word death again. In the midst of the confrontation, a man suddenly appeared in the field. Even Lin Yi was not able to detect how he came. Li Shuigao? Lin Yi's pupils slightly contracted. This young man who looked less than 30 years old had a slender figure, a very humble smile on his face. If only looking at his appearance, no one would think that he was an ungrateful white-eyed wolf. Boss, I've taken care of the few guys outside. Languza landed next to Lin Yi. After reporting in a low voice, he looked at Li Shuigao with extreme vigilance. This guy had a faint sense of danger. Even the careless Languza did not dare to be the slightest bit disrespectful. Blue Cloud Pavilion newcomer King Lin Yi, you are really amazing. Even the North Island Elders Council is not in your eyes. Do you think that Blue Cloud Pavilion is enough to protect you? Or will Shanghai Tianhua come forward to support you? Li Shuigao's smile and his tone of speech were completely out of tune, making Lin Yi have a very uncomfortable feeling of being cut. Li Shuigao, don't talk about him. The person Zhou Nianqing brought is my brother. Let him go immediately. Otherwise, I will find him myself. Lin Yi could not see through Li Shuigao's real strength. It was estimated that he was not at the peak of mountain opening. Perhaps this bastard had already reached the early stage of earth opening. Moreover, Li Shuigao's strength was very stable, completely different from his clansmen. This was definitely a difficult opponent to deal with. Languza was afraid that he could not resist. I don't know what you are talking about. Today you hit my Li family villa. I won't care about other things, but you must give me an explanation for this matter first. Li Shuigao completely denied the existence of Li Jingming, only focusing on the fact that Lin Yi came to make trouble, obviously wanting to take the righteous title. Then there is nothing to say. Lin Yi's feet staggered, and the extreme butterfly microstep took him to appear in front of Li Shuigao in an instant, and a Mad Fire 8 trigrams palm shot out again. The new Mad Fire 8 trigrams palm developed later was very practical, and the speed was extremely fast. Lin Yi was most comfortable with it, but it was not enough to deal with a master of Li Shuigao's level. Such a simple martial skill is your unique skill? That makes me a little disappointed. Li Shuigao chuckled twice, stretched out his hand and drew a small circle in front of him, at the same time retracting his fingers. The flames of the Mad Fire 8 trigrams palm were immediately absorbed by the small circle in front of Li Shuigao, as if it had fallen into a bottomless black hole, without the slightest leakage. The corner of Lin Yi's mouth hooked up. He did not expect the Mad Fire 8 trigrams palm to be able to do anything to Li Shuigao. This was only used to probe. At the end of the flames, a colorful dragon-shaped 5 elements murderous aura whizzed towards Li Shuigao, waving its front claws casually, completely tearing apart the circular restriction that Li Shuigao had casually laid down. Unfortunately, the flames of the Mad Fire 8 trigrams palm had already dissipated and did not form a counterattack. Chapter 60-61. Without a word, Languza rushed to the other targets at the same time as Lin Yi attacked, temporarily restraining them so as not to disturb the battle between the two. Facing the dragon-shaped 5 elements murderous aura, Li Shuigao put his hands together and pushed outwards. A sharp spear of Zhen Qi directly pierced the 5 elements murderous aura and began to struggle desperately. Lin Yi did not stop. His body was as fast as lightning, and he attacked Li Shuigao's side again. This position was extremely tricky, and if he was not careful, he could be seriously injured. Li Shuigao did not panic. He just took 2 steps to the side, and barely avoided Lin Yi's attack. Is that all you've got? Then I won't be polite and start attacking. Are you ready? Li Shuigao smiled, and before he finished speaking, he had already launched an amazing attack. Li Shuigao's body swayed, and he casually punched out. The Zhen Qi formed a terrible momentum like a monstrous wave, and it suddenly rushed towards Lin. In the blink of an eye, Lin Yi felt that the space around him was extremely compressed, and he could not even complete the simplest dodge. He could only go with the flow of the opponent's attack. If this continued, there was no doubt that he would fall into an absolute passive position. Languza was shocked. The power of this move, even his body might not be able to resist it. With the strength of Lin Yi's body, if he was hit head-on, he would definitely be in danger. It was a pity that Languza wanted to help Lin Yi, but he could not escape. None of the Li family's experts were a match for him alone, but if they joined forces, it would not be easy to deal with him. Lin Yi's expression did not change. Li Shuigao's attack was indeed not weak, but there was no need for him to take it head-on. After activating the 3 appearances of the Cloud Dragon, he left behind a shadow and easily escaped from the pressure of the huge wave. Interesting. He is indeed a rare genius. Li Shuigao's eyes instantly turned to the place where Lin Yi appeared, and hundreds of water arrows shot out, blocking all possible escape routes. However, these water arrows only penetrated the second shadow. When Lin Yi reappeared, he was less than a meter away from Li Shuigao. A 5 elements killing aura whizzed over and directly rushed into Li Shuigao's body. However, Lin didn't feel the slightest bit of joy. He unleashed the full power of the extreme butterfly subtle steps and instantly left his original spot. Countless concentrated water arrows bombarded the same spot as he left, and Li Shuigao, who was hit by the 5 elements killing aura, exploded and turned into a pool of clear water, directly scattering on the ground. Not bad, not bad. You were actually able to break the doppelganger that I created with my Zhen Qi. I'm getting more and more interested in you. You should know that my greatest hobby is to strangle geniuses like you. Li Shuigao stood more than 10 meters away and applauded lightly. He had a satisfied smile on his face as if he had just enjoyed a wonderful performance. Lin Yi coldly looked at Li Shuigao. This guy's strength was indeed very formidable. If he didn't take out his trump card, he would certainly not be a match for him. However, Lin Yi wasn't worried. The reason why he hadn't used his big move like the Soul Hook Hand Thunder Burial was because he wanted to try and see how big the gap was between his current strength and the initial stage of Earth opening stage. How is it? My doppelganger is more powerful than your shadow, right? It's not easy for you to break my doppelganger. As a reward for you, I'll let you see what's more powerful. Li Shuigao raised his arms, and 6 identical doppelgangers appeared beside him. They weren't just shadows, but real people. The aura fluctuations on their bodies were exactly the same as the original body. 7 stars illusory water. Lin Yi wouldn't have been able to distinguish which one of these 7 Li Shuigao was the real one if his divine sense wasn't incomparably powerful. Especially when they were arranged in the shape of the Big Dipper and joined together to form a whole body. However, Li Shuigao had never imagined that Lin Yi's divine sense was so powerful that it was enough to lock on to his real body. Moreover, it could penetrate the illusion and accurately distinguish the strength of the doppelgangers. In fact, the doppelgangers didn't even have 1/10 of Li Shuigao's real body. Do you think that you are amazing just because you have 6 doppelgangers? What a joke! Lin Yi sneered. His figure flickered continuously. 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8, Wood Forest Illusion 1000 transformations. If they were talking about clones, this move of Lin Yi's could turn Li Shuigao's 7-star illusory water into smithereens. In an instant, there were hundreds of Lin Yi's on the flat field, and not a single one of them was a shadow. It was a pity that the power of Wood Forest Illusion 1000 transformations was there. All the doppelgangers added up were just a lot more cannon fodder. They couldn't threaten Li Shuigao at all. Because of this, after a slight shock, Li Shuigao curled up the corner of his mouth in disdain. The 7-star illusory water's power was fully unleashed. In an instant, hundreds of Lin Yi's doppelgangers were killed. I thought you had some amazing moves. It turns out that it's just a rubbish martial arts skill. It's more like using it to scare people. The 7 Li Shuigaos had the same mocking expression on their faces. Their hands didn't stop moving. Every second, hundreds of Lin Yi's doppelgangers would disappear. If this went on, it wouldn't take more than 1 or 2 breaths to completely wipe out the effect of Wood Forest Illusion 1000 transformations. You guessed right. This is just used to scare you. Lin Yi's body suddenly appeared in front of Li Shuigao's body. There was a different flame in each of his palms. After saying that, without waiting for Li Shuigao to react, Lin Yi directly put his hands together. A violent flame of true energy was slapped towards his face. Super Pill Fire Bomb. Lin Yi had long planned to use the Wood Forest Illusion 1000 transformations to affect Li Shuigao's judgment. Then, while he could sense the opponent's body, he quietly came up and shot a Super Pill Fire Bomb. Li Shuigao was slightly startled. Obviously, he didn't expect Lin Yi to be able to accurately find his body. However, he didn't take Lin Yi's attack to heart. A cultivator at the peak of the profound ascension late stage, although he was overflowing with talent and could fight across levels, it was not enough to threaten him. However, Li Shuigao immediately realized that he was wrong. The little ball of fire in Lin Yi's hand was emitting a shockwave that made him feel like his soul was about to leave his body. In an instant, he made an accurate judgment. He knew that he wouldn't be able to block it. He immediately sent his clone to be a meat shield. The directional explosion of the Super Pill Fire Bomb whistled over. Li Shuigao blocked all 6 doppelgangers in front of him. Watching those doppelgangers turn into water splashes and immediately evaporate, he felt a little cold in his heart for the first time. This Lin Yi, he really underestimated him. Chapter 60-62. Boss, are you okay? These guys are quite durable. Languza said in a low voice. Normally, he would be happy to have the opportunity to fight, but now was not the time. It's okay, it's just a test. Lin Yi smiled faintly and did not seem to care too much. Lin Yi, you are really powerful, worthy of being one of the strongest newcomer kings. That's enough for the warm-up exercise, let's start fighting seriously. Li Shuigao patted the dust on his body and slightly twisted his neck a few times, as if he was really just playing around. I also feel that it's meaningless to waste time. What other tricks do you have? just take them out. Lin Yi already knew the gap between himself and Li Shuigao. Although this guy was in the early stage of earth opening, his strength did not seem to be much stronger than the mountain opening great perfection. Perhaps it was because he had just broken through not long ago. In a normal battle, Lin Yi might not be this guy's opponent, but that was under the premise that he did not use many big moves. This was also the reason why he was so confident now. Dealing with a little guy like you, it's too embarrassing for me to fight seriously. Seeing that you seem to have some knowledge of formations, today I will let you see one of my treasures. Open your eyes and take a good look. Li Shuigao suddenly changed his decision to fight, and directly took out a palm-sized formation. After it was activated, the entire platform was enveloped in it. Level 7 Lightning Fall Array. Lin Yi was slightly startled. Although he had never seen this kind of formation plate, he had heard of it from ghost things. He did not expect Li Shuigao to have such a precious thing in his hands. It was said that this kind of formation plate was a treasure passed down from ancient times. Now, no one could make it, so in the range of the Heavenly Stage Island, there was almost no trace of the Lightning Fall Array. It was no wonder that Li Shuigao was able to cultivate so many profound ascending stage subordinates in less than 20 years, because the Thunder Fall formation plate could imitate the Thunder Tribulation to allow people to advance to the profound ascending stage, but this kind of imitation Thunder Tribulation was even weaker than the one created by Lin Yi, so the profound ascending stage subordinates of Li Shuigao were weaker than cultivators of the same level. In addition to creating lightning tribulations, the Lightning Fall Array disc was also an offensive killing array. Within the range of the array, countless bolts of lightning could completely kill the enemy. The only problem was that this array disc required a large amount of lightning and spiritual jades as its energy source. Spiritual jades were still manageable, but lightning could only be collected and stored during thunderstorms. Therefore, its usage was somewhat limited. You do have some knowledge to be able to tell that this is a lightning array disc. I wonder if you can withstand the attack of lightning? Li Shuigao was extremely proud of himself. He rarely had the opportunity to fight against an enemy, and this Lightning Fall Array disc had not been used for a long time. The amount of lightning stored inside was enough to deal with 2 juniors at the peak of the profound ascending stage and the early stage of the mountain opening stage. It was absolutely more than enough. Lin Yi and Languza had a strange expression on their faces, but they did not speak. Wanting to use the Lightning Fall Array disc to deal with Lin Yi was like using dry wood to extinguish a fire. They really did not know what to say. If it was any other rank 7 array disc, without the help of a ghost, Lin Yi really did not dare to say that he would have any way to deal with it. But Li Shuigao took out a Lightning Fall Array disc. Lin Yi could only laugh. Dozens of lightning arcs under Li Shuigao's control simultaneously struck towards Lin Yi and Languza. The two of them seemed to be scared silly, not even the slightest bit of movement, they just stared at the lightning arcs falling on their bodies. After Languza underwent a mutation, he had also gone through the tempering of the lightning tribulation created by Lin Yi, causing his fleshly body to be incomparably tough. These lightning arcs at most could only tickle him. If there was any kind of threat, then it would at least be a real lightning tribulation. As for Lin Yi, he had the lightning escape technique, so even a real lightning tribulation would not be able to harm him in the slightest, not to mention this kind of ordinary lightning stored in a rank 7 array disc. Boss, the lightning that this guy brought out is really weak. Why don't you let him see what a real lightning bolt looks like? Languza came over and winked at Li Shuigao. His eyes were filled with a gloating expression as he looked at Li Shuigao. Don't be anxious, he will see it soon. Lin Yi faintly smiled, he was already prepared to make his move. Li Shuigao had a bad feeling in his heart. The effects of the Lightning Fall Array disc did not seem to be as good as he had imagined. Those two brats were actually able to talk to each other as if nothing had happened under the lightning arcs. Could it be that it had not been used for a long time, and the lightning within it had already lost its original power? Thinking of this, Li Shuigao worked even harder to activate the Lightning Fall Array disc, sending out even more lightning arcs to attack Lin Yi and Languza. The power of the lightning arcs seemed to be linked together. It looked very frightening. Lin Yi's mouth curled up. He raised his hand and shot out dozens of lightning arcs that were several times thicker than the lightning fall array disc, instantly tearing apart the lightning net that Li Shuigao had activated, at the same time continuously absorbing the dissipating lightning source, turning it around to attack Li Shuigao. If it wasn't for the fact that the Thousand Thunder Burst and Thunder Burial were not easy to control, it would be easy to accidentally injure Li Jingming. Lin Yi would have directly plowed through the entire manor. Lightning Attribute Cultivator. Li Shuigao's complexion changed. He only had enough time to cry out in alarm. He immediately retreated. Facing these lightning arcs, he did not dare to be careless. The lightning fall array disc was not enough to pose a threat to an early-stage earth-opening cultivator, but the power of Lin Yi's lightning arcs was clearly above the lightning fall array disc. Li Shuigao did not want to suffer any injuries. He really did not expect that Lin Yi had actually hidden his strength so deeply and was even an extremely rare lightning attribute cultivator. If it was any other opponent, perhaps they would have used their strongest attack from the start, who would be like Lin Yi, who was obviously much weaker, but still hid his lightning attribute martial skill and did not use it. Lin Yi activated the lightning evasion technique. In the blink of an eye, he appeared beside Li Shuigao and shot out another 2 lightning arcs. At such a close distance, there was simply no time for him to dodge, and all of them struck his body. Li Shuigao twitched for a while, but before Lin Yi's next wave of attack, he still managed to shift his position, trying to open up the distance between him and Lin. Unfortunately, Lin Yi's movement speed in the lightning area was comparable to teleportation, and Li Shuigao's movement was no different from that of a snail. Before he moved, Lin Yi was already waiting on the predetermined route. The Divine Awareness Vortex and the 5 elements killing Qi attacked at the same time. Li Shuigao suddenly screamed, and his spirit and meridians were severely damaged at the same time. In comparison, the muscle numbness caused by the lightning arcs was nothing. With a few soft cracking sounds, the lightning fall array disc broke into several pieces and fell directly to the ground. Lin Yi looked at it with a little pity. This was a treasure handed down from ancient times. Although it was of no use to him, if he kept it in the North Island, it could at least create a lot of masters in the mysterious ascension stage. Chapter 60-63. Lin Yi snorted coldly. He raised his hand and released dozens of lightning arcs, blocking all these people more than 10 meters away. At the same time, he kicked Li Shuigao and stepped on him. If you dare to move, Li Shuigao will be finished immediately. Lin Yi's cold eyes swept over the dozen Li family masters. They immediately became silent and did not dare to move at all. Don't mess around. Our family master is a member of the North Island Elder Council. If there's any damage, even if the entire Blue Cloud Pavilion comes out, they won't be able to protect you. The first mountain opening stage master stood there and did not dare to come over, but he could not help but warn Lin Yi, hoping to use words to make Lin Yi hesitate. Don't tell me it's useless. Bring my brother Li Jingming out immediately. Otherwise, no one will be able to protect your Li family. The first to die will be Li Shuigao. Lin Yi slightly exerted force on his feet. Li Shuigao suddenly moaned twice. Under the situation where he was unprepared, the divine sense whirlpool and the 5 elements murderous Qi tortured him. Although he was not dead, he had lost all ability to resist. He could not even scream loudly. The person who spoke gritted his teeth and looked back at the last profound ascending stage master, signaling him to hurry and bring Li Jingming out. Boss, that's it? It seems a bit dangerous to leave so many of them here. How about I take care of them first? Seeing that Li Jingming was about to be saved, Languza suddenly had an idea. The battle just now was not satisfying at all. If he did not hurry up and take action now, he probably would not have a chance anymore. Lin Yi turned back and stared at Languza. Right now, the most important thing was to get Li Jingming back. He did not want to cause trouble. To be able to defeat Li Shuigao so easily, in addition to Lin Yi's own strength, luck also played a large role. If that guy did not suddenly use the lightning formation plate, it would be impossible for Lin Yi to defeat him so easily. Within the range of the lightning fall matrix, Lin Yi was able to shoot out lightning bolts in both quantity and quality, far exceeding the normal standard. The reason was that the lightning stored within was all used by him, and now that the matrix was destroyed, it would be difficult for him to shoot out lightning bolts of that level again. Plus, he'd already used up a lot of his chi. Although he had the jade space to replenish it, it wasn't possible for him to recover to his peak instantaneously. Those masters didn't want to push Li Jingming too far just in case. Languza shrunk his neck. Seeing that Lin Yi did not want to continue for the time being, he could only stare hard and use his eyes to threaten the dozen masters to not move. After a while, Li Jingming was brought over, but his appearance was very miserable. All his limbs were broken, his body was full of scars, and his clothes were completely soaked in blood. It was as if he had just been fished out of a blood pool. If it was an ordinary person, just the blood loss alone would be enough to kill him. Lin Yi's eyes were cold, and his heart was filled with killing intent. Originally, he wanted to let Li Jingming decide how to deal with the Li family, but now he almost changed his mind and wanted to personally destroy this villa. Lin Yi, this person has already taken a recover pill. For the time being, his life will not be in danger. His hands and feet are hard injuries, and he can be healed with a little treatment. You can take him away now. Then return our master to us. The profound ascending stage master who brought Li Jingming out raised his voice and explained. He was afraid that Li Jingming would suddenly die, so he wanted to exchange Li Shuigao back as soon as possible. To be honest, these Li family masters were not very clear how Li Shuigao suddenly lost to Lin Yi, but most of them thought that Lin Yi happened to be a lightning-type cultivator, so Li Shuigao used the lightning fall formation plate to help his opponent instead. It was not that he really could not beat Lin Yi. Because of this thought, they felt that after exchanging Li Shuigao back, with so many people joining hands, there was still a possibility of winning against Lin Yi and Languza. Languza didn't need Lin Yi's order to rush over and pick up Li Jingming. The Li family's masters wanted to stop him, but they were scared off by the ferocious look in the guy's eyes. Lin Yi, you've already taken him away, can you let our master back? The mountain opening stage master who spoke earlier looked at Lin Yi anxiously, afraid that Lin Yi would go back on his words. Lin Yi did not pay attention to that guy at all, and directly took out a level 7 great revitalizing pill and sent it into Li Jingming's mouth, then transferred his own innate chi over and quickly healed his internal injuries. Fortunately, Li Jingming's injuries looked serious on the surface, but there were not many internal injuries in his body. Other than his broken limbs, he was only unconscious due to excessive blood loss. Seeing Lin Yi unscrupulously healing Li Jingming's injuries, the Li family people were somewhat restless. Languza took a step forward at the right time and glared angrily at these people's faces. They had already seen Languza's strength just now. Even if everyone attacked together, they would not be able to deal with him in a short period of time. In addition, Li Shuigao was still under Lin Yi's feet and was not out of danger, so in the end, no one dared to make a move. After knowing that Li Jingming was fine, Lin Yi temporarily gave up on the idea of exterminating the Li family. It would be better for Li Jingming to do these things himself, but Li Shuigao and the Li family's experts, Lin Yi did not plan to let them go. The soul-reaping hand silently took away Li Shuigao's primordial spirit, leaving behind the body that was not completely dead on the ground. Lin Yi's figure flashed, and numerous lightning arcs exploded among the dozen or so people, and he used the lightning arcs to instantly arrive in the middle of them. The strongest of these people were only at the mountain opening stage, and to Lin Yi, they were not existences that could not be dealt with. Moreover, these people's foundations were weak, and the early stage of the mountain opening stage was not much stronger than a normal profound ascension great circle. They were completely for show, and Lin Yi did not feel any pressure dealing with them. The wildfire 8 trigrams palm combined with the 5 elements killing chi was casually unleashed, and when these people were caught off guard, he completed the sweep in an instant. However, Lin Yi did not kill all of them. He only crippled the cultivation of these dozen or so people, so that they would not become an obstacle to Li Jingming's revenge in the future. Languza looked at the Li family's experts who were groaning on the ground with hidden bitterness. This job should have been done by him. How could the boss do it himself? It was a rare bit of fun. It seemed like he could only go back and eat more good food to make up for it. When Lin Yi finished all this, 5 figures rushed over from the direction of the mountain gate. The one in front was especially fast, and in a breath's time, He rushed onto the platform and appeared outside the Lee family's gate. Chapter 6064. Fish Baby Book Friends 2 Group 4 17723151. Hall Leader Ram, they kidnapped my brother for no reason and seriously injured him. Is there any problem with me coming to rescue him? Your law enforcement Hall didn't do anything. Did I get in your way? Lin didn't look happy either. When he was in Zhou Xiang restaurant, the two guys from the law enforcement Hall helped the Zhou family openly and secretly. Now he just solved the Li family's problem, and Ram Jie suddenly appeared to blame him. It was no wonder that Lin Yi was happy. I'll naturally investigate what you said, and I'll never let go of a person who commits a crime in the North Island. But what you're doing now is also against the law enforcement Hall's commandment, so you have to go back with me. Ram Jie glanced at Li Jingming, who was still unconscious, and didn't change his mind at all. Languza was furious and stepped forward. How can you talk to my boss like that? Could it be that you're in cahoots with these guys, so you want to stand up for them now? How dare you? Several other people from the law enforcement Hall hurried over and happened to hear Languza's words. Suddenly, they became agitated and rebuked him. Our Hall leader is famous for being impartial. Who do you think you are? How dare you slander our Hall leader like this? This alone is enough for you to sit in the law enforcement Hall. Hall leader, we can't be polite to this kind of person. What's more, he injured a colleague. Please order us to arrest him. Ram Jie waved his hand to stop his subordinates from talking nonsense. Then he looked at Lin Yi indifferently. Lin Yi, I've said that everything will be investigated. As for how to determine the nature of what you did, it will be clear when the result comes out. Now come back with me to the law enforcement Hall. Don't get Blue Cloud Pavilion involved. What if I don't go back with you? Lin Yi was also angry in his heart, so his words were naturally more impolite. Not to mention that Li Jingming's problem had not been solved yet. Even if it had been solved, he still had to hurry back to Zhongdao. How could he have the time to accompany Ram Jie in the law enforcement Hall? Believe me, you will definitely come back with me. Ram Jie's expression didn't change, but his words were filled with incomparable confidence. Lin Yi could feel that he had already planned to make a move. Then we shall wait and see. Lin Yi narrowed his eyes slightly, and his pupils pierced Ram Jie's eyes like needles. Their gazes seemed to have substance, and they had begun an invisible confrontation. Languza took a step forward and was about to attack Ram Jie first. However, in the next moment, he felt as if he had fallen into a quagmire, and he couldn't move smoothly. Even lifting a finger was extremely difficult. So powerful. Lin Yi couldn't help but sigh inwardly. Ram Jie was indeed worthy of being the former #1 genius of the North Island. He could restrain Languza without batting an eyelid, and they couldn't see through his true strength at all. Compared to Ram Jie, Li Shuigao was indeed just a scum. Facing such a super expert, Lin Yi had already begun to calculate whether his few big moves would be effective. However, whether it was Soul Hook Palm or Thunder Burial, once they were used, they would definitely die. As for Ram Jie, he still didn't have the thought of killing him. At the critical moment, a figure suddenly appeared in the field. He laughed out loud and directly stood between Ram Jie and Lin. Hall Leader Ram, why are you so serious? Lin Yi looked up and suddenly felt relieved. Just now, all his attention was on Ram Jie, so he didn't notice that Lan Tiefu actually followed him. Lan Tiefu, do you want to meddle in the affairs of the law enforcement hall? Ram Jie glanced at Lan Tiefu coldly, showing no intention of buying it. No, I'm just a senior brother in charge of the Rising Sky Pavilion. I'm not qualified to meddle in the affairs of the law enforcement hall. However, the pavilion leader already knows about this, and he said he'll handle it himself, so it's okay for the law enforcement hall not to meddle in this matter. Lan Tiefu smiled and waved his hand, looking like a peacemaker. Ram Jie suddenly fell silent. In the whole North Island, only Shanghai Tianhua could make him bow down. Apart from that, even people from ancient aristocratic families couldn't order him to do anything. Speaking of which, Shanghai Tianhua was indeed qualified to meddle in this matter, which didn't conflict with the law enforcement of the law enforcement hall. It was just like when the police in the secular world received a case, and then the Supernatural Investigation Bureau intervened halfway. Since that's the case, I'll leave first. Ram Jie just thought for a while and withdrew the genuine qi that bound Languza. He nodded to Lan Tiefu and Lin Yi, then turned around and left with his people expressionlessly. Lin Yi was a little stunned. Ram Jie just left like that? Just because of a word from Shanghai Tianhua? Junior brother Lin, don't lower yourself to the same level as Ram Jie. This guy is like that, with a sullen face all day long. In fact, he really doesn't have any selfish motives. Lan Tiefu walked to Lin Yi and explained to Ram Jie with a smile. Don't worry, senior brother Lan. I won't care. Lin Yi smiled faintly. He was a little angry just now, but now it was over, so there was no need to hate Ram Jie. After all, it was his duty. Languza came over with a smile and casually cupped his fists. Senior brother Lan? My surname is also Lan. Maybe we were relatives in the past. Lin Yi was speechless. This guy really liked to claim relatives. No matter what, Lan Tiefu couldn't be related to you by blood. He was a genuine human. What did he have to do with a sea beast like you? Oh, what a coincidence. Then we should get closer in the future. Lan Tiefu laughed and patted Languza's shoulder. Lin Yi didn't know what was going on, but he felt that Lan Tiefu was a lot more friendly than before. Could it be that Lan Tiefu saw that Lin Yi's strength had increased so quickly that he wanted to be friends with him? Or had he heard about Lin Yi's alchemy skills? Or was it purely because of Shanghai Tianhua? In any case, Lin Yi liked people who took the initiative to show kindness. Senior brother Lan, is the matter here very troublesome? Lin Yi looked at the groaning Li family experts on the ground and asked with some embarrassment. If he had known that it would cause trouble for Shanghai Tianhua, Lin Yi would never have come to them openly. Hiding his tracks and coming to rescue them was the best choice. It's fine. You guys can go back. I've heard about the cause and effect of this matter. I'll take care of the rest, so don't worry. Lan Tiefu smiled and waved his hand, signaling for Lin Yi to quickly bring Li Jingming back for treatment. Chapter 60-65. After a simple farewell, Languza rushed to carry Li Jingming on his back and quickly followed Lin Yi to Blue Cloud Pavilion. After this battle, the Li family of the North Island was basically destroyed. Li Shuigao, the core figure, was dead, and the rest of the experts had lost their cultivation. Any small family could be stronger than the Li family. From now on, it would be much easier for Li Jingming to take revenge. When they left, Lin Yi scanned the middle-aged woman from the Zhou family with his divine mind. The level 1 concealment formation she had set up was still intact, so he did not bother her. The Li family was finished, so the Zhou family would not dare to come out and cause trouble. As for whether Li Jingming wanted to settle the score with the Zhou family in the future, it was none of his business. After a while, the three of them returned to Lin Yi's residence in Blue Cloud Pavilion. Li Jingming was still unconscious. This was good for his recovery, so he let him continue to sleep after they returned. Lin Yi wanted to take this opportunity to investigate what happened in Qiushui Villa. After asking Languza to take care of Li Jingming, Lin entered his room and waved his hand to release Li Shuigao's primordial spirit. Lin Yi, what do you want to do to me? I'm warning you, let me go now, or someone will come to trouble you. Li Shuigao's primordial spirit was a little weak. As soon as it came out, it shouted to boost its courage. Oh, there's someone behind you? Why don't you tell me? Lin Yi smiled faintly, but his eyes were extremely cold. Leaving Li Shuigao's primordial spirit, Lin Yi was going to use the soul-searching skill to find out the truth behind the destruction of Qiushui Villa. If this guy could be sensible and voluntarily confess those things, he might be able to avoid the pain of the soul-searching skill. Don't think you can get any information from me. It won't take long for you to know how big of a trouble you've caused. Don't think that you can run amok just because Shanghai Tianhua is protecting you. Even if Soaring Sky Pavilion and Blue Cloud Pavilion join hands, they won't be able to protect you and the people around you. Li Shuigao didn't know the consequences of being so arrogant, so he continued to threaten Lin. If you put it that way, I really want to know what kind of trouble I've caused. Since you don't want to tell me, I'll find the answer myself. It will be a little painful. Bear with it. Lin Yi expressionlessly stretched out his hand and activated the soul-searching technique derived from the primordial spirit devouring technique. He was usually unwilling to use the soul-searching technique, but it didn't mean that he didn't dare to use it. At most, it would be slightly troublesome afterwards. In order to figure out the truth, especially the person who might be behind Li Shuigao, Lin Yi naturally wouldn't care about such a little trouble. Li Shuigao's primordial spirit suddenly let out a shrill scream. The pain of his divine soul being torn apart, even the torture of being cut into pieces, wouldn't be comparable to it. He didn't collapse immediately because Lin Yi didn't want him to collapse. At least, before the soul-searching technique was completed, he wouldn't let him collapse so easily. In this room, Lin Yi had already arranged a layer of soundproof barrier in advance. Therefore, no matter how much Li Shuigao screamed, there would be no possibility of it leaking out. After a while, his screams became lower and lower, and finally, it slowly fell into silence. His primordial spirit also completely dissipated under the tyrannical search of the soul-searching technique. An early-stage Earth-opening realm expert had completely fallen, and didn't even have the chance to reincarnate. However, such an ungrateful villain like him didn't deserve any pity at all. However, Lin Yi's brows were still slightly wrinkled. His soul-searching technique was very successful, but the memory information obtained was not complete. There were still many fragments missing. The reason for this situation was that Li Shuigao's primordial spirit was too weak. In the process of soul-searching technique, there were a lot of losses, and the previous spiritual consciousness whirlpool also had a great impact. The other reason was that Lin Yi's soul-searching technique itself still had flaws. He couldn't obtain 100% of the complete memory of the other party. Before Li Shuigao, Lin Yi had never used the soul search art in its entirety, so this was the first time he'd found out about this flaw. The good thing was that most of the missing parts could be deduced from the clues he already had. "Boss, Li Jingming has woken up, do you want to see him?" Languza asked loudly outside the room. This time, the soul-searching technique did not take much time. Li Jingming could wake up, which proved that his injury was indeed not serious. For cultivators, a broken arm or a broken leg was nothing. As long as there were pills, they could be reconnected in minutes. Even if they lost their original body, regrowing a severed limb was very simple. "I'll be right there." Lin Yi rubbed his forehead and stood up. After Li Shuigao's soul-searching technique, he suddenly discovered a problem. The elder Li who had intervened in the Qiushui Villa massacre case and put pressure on the law enforcement hall was not the current Li Shuigao, but someone else. He had really overlooked this point. Back then, Li Shuigao was far from qualified to enter the Elder Council. He had rapidly soared in the years after the Qiushui Villa massacre case, while the previous elder Li had disappeared without a trace. So this time, Lin Yi almost made a big mistake. However, in Li Shuigao's memory, there was almost no information about the elder Li. It seemed that this matter could only be left to Li Jingming to investigate. When Lin Yi arrived, Li Jingming was already able to sit up. Apart from his pale face, he could barely move his arms and legs. His recovery was quite good. Seeing Lin Yi enter, Li Jingming smiled bitterly and nodded, sincerely expressing his gratitude. "Boss Lin Yi, it's really all thanks to you this time. Otherwise, I would have died a terrible death. We're all brothers, so there's no need to be so polite. Tell me about the investigation of the incident that year." Lin Yi casually pulled over a chair and sat down. He wanted to listen to Li Jingming's information and verify it with Li Shuigao's memory. "Good. Actually, I was only a child at that time, so I didn't know much about the entire matter. However, after 2 years of investigation, I found some clues. It's a long story, so don't think I'm too long-winded, Boss Lin." Li Jingming sat up a little straighter. He originally wanted to tell Lin Yi about this matter, so he had already organized his thoughts. Lin Yi smiled faintly and nodded, signaling for him to continue. Chapter 6066. Over the past 2 years, I've slowly found some clues from nowhere. I've worked hard to find out the general situation of the matter. As one of the masterminds, Li Shuigao got a lot of benefits from the treasure, but I haven't been able to find out who the person who cooperated with him is. When Li Jingming said this, he couldn't help but feel a little depressed. He was almost killed just by investigating this far. If he wanted to take revenge, the future was really uncertain. Who was the elderly who intervened in the case investigation and pressured the law enforcement hall? You should have investigated him, right? Lin Yi knew more details than Li Jingming about why Li Shuigao colluded with foreign enemies to destroy Qiushui Villa. The general situation was not wrong, so he wasn't surprised at all. What he cared about was the elderly. I did investigate that elderly. It said that he was an outsider. After becoming a member of the Elders' Council in the North Island, he left the North Island, so there was no news about him later. This person was also quite low-key when he was in the North Island, and he basically didn't interact with other people. I investigated for a long time, but I didn't find anything, so I had to put it aside. Li Jingming didn't care much about that elderly. All his attention was on the traitor Li Shuigao. Boss Lin Yi, I came to you just now to ask for your opinion on how to deal with the Li family in the North Island. After Li Shuigao, the traitor, got the treasure, his strength improved by leaps and bounds, and he trained a lot of masters as his subordinates. In the family in the North Island, he's already a very powerful force, and he himself has become a member of the Elders' Council. Li Jingming suddenly stopped talking. This was his private matter, and it didn't make any sense to involve Lin. This time, Lin Yi had to pay a huge price to save him. If Lin Yi continued to be involved in the Qiushui Manor incident, Li Jingming would feel very guilty. Lin Yi didn't think so much. Since Li Jingming had recognized him as his boss, the business of Qiushui Villa was naturally his business. If he hadn't been in a hurry to go back to Middle Island to try to save Han Jingjing with the Spirit Gathering branch and then go to the South Island to investigate the plan of the center, Lin Yi would definitely stay here and solve the business of Qiushui Villa before leaving. You don't have to worry about the Li family. In fact, although Li Shuigao obtained a lot of benefits from that treasure and used it as a foundation to rise rapidly in just a dozen years, he only obtained a small part of the treasure. The majority was taken by his collaborators, so we should try our best to find Li Shuigao's collaborators. Lin Yi had most of Li Shuigao's memories and naturally knew how much this traitor had benefited from the Qiu family's treasure map. Just 1/10 of the treasure made him a member of the North Island Elders Committee within a few years, and then in the next 10 years, he built a powerful family. The formations of the Li family's villa, including the Thunderfall formation plate, were all part of the treasure. In addition, there were a lot of cultivation resources. Without the accumulation of these resources, Li Shuigao couldn't have risen so quickly, and it would have been difficult for his subordinates to compete with those long-established families. Boss Lin Yi, you know more than I do. Have you been paying attention to the Qiushui Villa incident in the past 2 years? Li Jingming was a little confused and touched. No matter what the reason was, it was enough that Lin Yi cared about him. I happened to get some information about this, so I know more about Li Shuigao. Lin Yi said vaguely. It wasn't that he didn't trust Li Jingming, but he didn't want too many people to know about the soul searching. Lin Yi paused for a moment before changing the topic. Actually, you could have told Gong Yangjie about this. Things are different now, and he's in charge of the law enforcement hall. He's a pretty fair man, and while I don't really like that ice-cold guy, I'm sure the investigation of the Qiushui Villa incident would progress much better with him around. Boss, I don't really trust Ram Jie. Li Jingming hesitated for a moment, but he still decided to tell the truth. Back then, when the Qiushui Manor underwent a huge change, I was just a child. Because I was playful, I hid in a secret room to escape. At that time, I saw a masked man in black. Although his face was covered, his figure was exactly the same as Ram Jie's. Lin Yi was stunned. He started to search Li Shuigao's memory. There was indeed such a masked man in black. He was one of the leaders that Li Shuigao had colluded with. However, his real identity had always been a mystery. Li Shuigao spent almost 20 years, but he still couldn't figure out who he was working with. When the idiot threatened Lin Yi before he died, he wasn't referring to this masked man in black. Instead, he was referring to some other big shots in the Elders Guild. Some of them were from ancient families, but they were all developed later and had nothing to do with the Qiushui Villa incident. Li Shuigao's memory of the masked man in black was very vague. However, after being reminded by Li Jingming, Lin Yi had some impression of the masked man. Indeed, the masked man's figure was extremely similar to Ram Jie's. Just this alone doesn't seem to prove anything, right? After all, there are many people who look alike. Not to mention their figures. Lin Yi said with uncertainty. Ram Jie wasn't very likable. However, it was hard to believe that he was involved in the Qiushui Villa incident and was one of the masterminds. Boss Lin Yi, I know that this alone can't prove anything. However, it's still a possibility. I don't want to take the risk. Li Jingming shook his head with a serious expression. From the first time he saw Ram Jie, he had always had this suspicion. His first impression was the strongest, so he definitely wouldn't change his mind easily. Although Lin Yi didn't believe it, he couldn't help but think of Ram Jie's sudden appearance in the Li family villa and the law enforcement hall's protection of the Zhou family. Could Ram Jie really be that masked man in black? Have you investigated Ram Jie's strength back then? Lin Yi suddenly thought of this question. The Qiushui Villa incident was almost 20 years ago. At that time, Ram Jie was only in his early 20s. Although he was a genius that was rarely seen in hundreds of years, his strength might not be that shocking. The current Ram Jie could easily destroy the Qiushui Villa alone. However, 20 years ago, if he joined forces with Li Shuigao, he probably wouldn't be that powerful, right? Chapter 60-67. Lin Yi was speechless. Since Ram Jie already had the strength to destroy Qiushui Villa at that time, it was reasonable for him to become a suspect. Alright, since you've put it that way, we'll leave the disciplinary hall alone for now. We'll list Gong Yangjie as a suspect and investigate him in secret. Be careful not to arouse his suspicions. If it really was Gong Yangjie's doing, we don't have the strength to deal with him yet. Lin Yi was still a little skeptical, but he still warned Li Jingming seriously. With the strength that Ram Jie showed in the Li family's villa, even if Lin Yi used all his trump cards, he might not be able to defeat him. Especially for a genius like Ram Jie, who might have some research on divine senses, he must be prepared that divine sense skills like Soul Hook Hand would not work. Boss Lin Yi, don't worry. I will never act rashly. This time I talk to you, boss, is to ask me what I should do. Should I take revenge on the Li family first, or to avoid alerting them and kill them together with the masked man in black later? As for the Zhou family, of course, Li Jingming would not let them go, but they were just peripheral accomplices, so he was not in a hurry to deal with them. Li Jingming, I want to apologize to you. Li Shuigao has been killed by me, and the cultivation of some masters of the Li family in the north has also been destroyed by me. I'm afraid you won't have the chance to take revenge on Li Shuigao yourself. But the Li family is still here. If you want to deal with them, you can go at any time. Lin Yi suddenly felt a little annoyed. He should have left a trace of Li Shuigao's spirit and his body. It would have been more meaningful to let Li Jingming kill him personally. Sure enough, when he heard that Li Shuigao was dead, Li Jingming was a little stunned and did not know how to react. For so many years, he thought about how to take revenge every day, but the traitor was actually dead. Boss, thank you for avenging me. That guy died in your hands, which is no different from me killing him myself. Unfortunately, it was too easy for him to die. Li Jingming sighed and then waved his hand in relief. Lin Yi killed Li Shuigao to save him, which could only be said to be too easy for the bastard traitor. He had prepared a lot of torture on the traitor. Lin Yi smiled slightly. Only he knew that Li Shuigao's death was not easy at all. The pain of soul-searching was comparable to all kinds of torture in hell. This bastard lost the chance to reincarnate, but before he dissipated, he tasted all the punishments in hell. Since the Li family has lost all the masters, we should let them go for the time. Let we see if the black masked man will come to take over the Li family or not. Li Yi smiled slightly. Only he. Li Jingming quickly adjusted his mood. Knowing that Li Shuigao was dead, he felt much more relaxed. He immediately began to think about his future plans. Okay, you can still investigate in secret. But now that your identity has been exposed, you must pay attention to your own safety. It's better to wait for senior brother Lu Bianren and the others to come back after finishing their tasks. It'll be better to act together. I'm going to leave the North Island for a while, so I can't do this with you. Lin Yi looked a little sorry. As Li Jingming's boss, He really should help him settle things in Qiushui Villa. Unfortunately, he really did not have that much time to stay here without any clues. Boss, just go and do your own things. I'll take care of this myself. Li Jingming hurriedly shook his head. Lin Yi had helped him too much, and this time he even saved his life. He really could not tie his boss Lin Yi to the North Island for his own matters. By the way, boss Lin Yi, this time I found some clues in the ruins of the old site of Qiushui Villa. It's about the treasure. If you have time, I'd like to invite you to go with me. Li Jingming suddenly mentioned the treasure that led to the destruction of Qiushui Villa, which made Lin Yi feel a little surprised. Didn't Li Shuigao and the others take the treasure? Is there another one? Lin Yi was very confused. Li Shuigao must have gotten the real treasure. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to become a hero and build a powerful family with only 1/10 of the treasure. I'm not sure yet. The clue I got is that there are 2 layers of the treasure. What Li Shuigao and the others took out is probably only the first layer. Because it's already been opened, no one will explore that place again. If we go there now, we might be able to find the second layer of the treasure. Li Jingming looked a little excited. Li Shuigao only got a small part of the first layer of the treasure, and he could soar to the sky. If they could really find the second layer of the treasure, wouldn't it be very easy to rebuild Qiushui Villa? Aren't you worried that the second layer has actually been opened? Lin Yi didn't care too much about this news. The possibility of Li Shuigao and the others only opening the first layer was very small. If they went there now, they would most likely find nothing. That's possible, but I still want to take a gamble. The clue I got mentioned that there's a treasure map that is only used to open the first layer of the treasure. If I'm not wrong, it should be the map that Li Shuigao, that traitor, took from my family. In a situation where they obtained all the treasures on the first layer and didn't know about the existence of the second layer, the possibility of them opening the second layer is very small. Li Jingming wasn't so much trying to convince Lin Yi as he was trying to convince himself. In fact, he could go alone. He said it now because he wanted to repay Lin Yi. If they really found the second layer of the treasure, more than half of it would belong to Lin Yi. Lin Yi just thought for a while and understood why Li Jingming didn't say it out loud. He estimated that the second layer of the treasure should not be dangerous. Otherwise, when Li Jingming mentioned it, he wouldn't have such an expression. I really want to go with you, but there's no other way. I have to go back to the Middle Island immediately and then go to the Southland. When I return to the North Island, it will take at least a few months. If there's no danger, you'd better explore it by yourself. If you find the treasure, try to improve your strength as soon as possible. Although Lin Yi didn't say it explicitly, what he meant was that even if the treasure was still there, it belonged to Qiushui Villa. He wouldn't interfere in it. Since Li Jingming had the opportunity to get it, he had to make good use of it. Chapter 60-68. Li Jingming was silent for a moment. Since Lin Yi had no time to hunt for treasures, he could only go alone. However, he had already made a decision in his heart. If he could really find the second layer of treasures, he would definitely pick out the good stuff and leave a share for Lin Yi. I understand. Boss, don't worry. I will take care of this matter. Li Jingming nodded and promised. That was the end of the matter about the treasures. I have said almost everything that needs to be said. I also have to prepare to leave for Middle Island. If you have any difficulties, you can go directly to Soaring Sky Pavilion to find Shangguan Lena. She will help you solve it. Remember, no matter what you do, you must ensure your own safety. Everything else is not important. Do you understand? Lin Yi solemnly urged Li Jingming. In fact, he wanted Li Jingming to solve the obvious threats first, so that it would be safer. Unfortunately, Li Jingming wanted to keep the Li and Zhou families as bait to catch the mastermind behind them. In this regard, Lin Yi could not express any opinions. He could only ask him to take care of himself. If there was any difficulty, he could find Shangguan Lena. Most of it could be solved. For the sake of Lin Yi, even if Lan could not solve it, Shangguan Tianhua and Zhang Jingyao behind her would definitely be able to solve it. At least, they could avoid many dangers like this time. Li Jingming was moved. He nodded hard to show that he understood and would definitely do as Lin Yi said. Originally, Lin Yi wanted to leave Hao Zili and Min Huichen to protect Li Jingming. However, he was not very assured about the loyalty of these two guys. If they really found the treasures and there was some advanced antidote in it, these two guys would definitely change sides. Then, Li Jingming would be in danger. Moreover, having such two bodyguards around was not good for Li Jingming's growth. Only in a difficult situation, a person would quickly become stronger, so in the end, Lin Yi gave up this idea. Well, you take care of yourself. I have to go to Middle Island immediately. When I come back, I hope to see you stronger. Lin Yi reached out and patted Li Jingming's shoulder. Before leaving, Lin Yi left behind a storage bag. Inside were some elixirs and millions of spirit jade cards. These were not for Li Jingming alone. The others who were not here had a share. With these resources, it was enough to ensure that they could increase their strength quickly. Li Jingming was not polite with Lin. His life was saved by Lin. These resources were nothing. In the future, when he became stronger, he could use all means to repay this boss. After saying goodbye to Li Jingming, Lin Yi took Languza directly to the beach. Hao Zili and Min Huichen were obedient and stayed here. The main body of the flying spirit beast was a huge eagle. Now, it had also transformed into a human form. It turned into a handsome young man. At first glance, Lin Yi almost couldn't remember who this person was. Boss, are we going to sit on that guy's back and fly to Middle Island? Languza looked at the young man who was transformed by the flying spirit beast with disgust. As a dignified sea beast king, he really didn't want to mix with flying spirit beasts. Especially this guy looked very unpleasant to the eye. In the eyes of Languza, except for his boss, Lin, any handsome man was extremely unpleasant to the eye. Although he believed that no one in the world was more handsome than him except his boss, he would still instinctively reject this kind of person. They are too slow. Let's go to Middle Island by flying saucer. Lin Yi replied casually. He didn't think that the focus of Languza's words was not how to go to Middle Island. Languza was instantly elated. He raised his chin and said to Hao Zili and the other two, "We're going to the Middle Island. If you guys want to follow us, then hurry up and fly first. When we reach the Middle Island, just ask anyone and you'll know where boss is." This guy didn't want the three of them to sit on the flying saucer with him at all. Anyway, flying spirit beasts were used for traveling. He would let them fly slowly to Middle Island. "Boss Lin, aren't we going together?" Hao Zili asked with some apprehension. He even changed the way he addressed Lin Yi to boss like Languza did. Originally, Hao Zili thought that he would be a little embarrassed. But strangely, when he called Lin Yi boss, it didn't feel strange at all. It was as if he should call him that. "Boss Lin, we want to follow you wholeheartedly. Don't leave us behind." Min Huichen also hurriedly went forward with a smile. She pulled the young man who was transformed by the giant eagle and introduced him to Lin. "This is Fei. Fei, quickly greet Boss Lin." Fei Yi greets Boss Lin. This flying spirit beast transformed young man, Fei, was a little shy. He cupped his fists and bowed respectfully. His speech was a little choppy. He should be the type who didn't like to talk much. He was completely different from Languza. "You guys come with us. My flying tool is enough to take all of you." Lin Yi smiled and comforted them. Anyway, the space in the flying saucer was big enough. It didn't matter if there were a few more of them. Hao Zili and the other two were immediately delighted. They were most afraid of being separated from Lin Yi. If the poison suddenly acted up, wouldn't they die unjustly? Moreover, only by following Lin Yi could they get the opportunity to perform and strive to get out of the abyss of suffering as soon as possible. Regarding this matter, the three of them had already discussed and reached an agreement. Seeing that Lin Yi had already decided, Languza naturally wouldn't continue to object. However, he still had something to say. "Since you guys have already recognized me as your boss, then you have to understand the rules. First of all, you have to make this first come, first served clear. From now on, you have to call me Brother Lan. Do you hear me?" Lin Yi couldn't help but be amused. This guy was quite troublesome now. Why didn't he ask Chen Dongqing and the others to call him Brother Lan in the past? Was it because Fei Yi was more handsome? Hao Zili and the other two were also convinced by Languza. Even if the three of them joined forces, they might not be a match for Languza. So what if they called him Brother Lan? Brother Lan. The three of them didn't say anything else. They all pretended to be respectful and shouted, which made Languza very satisfied. Alright, if you have anything to say, let's talk when we arrive at the middle island. We'll set off immediately. Lin Yi didn't want to waste any more time. After taking out the flying saucer and activating it, he led everyone into the inner cabin. Hao Zili and the others were amazed. This was the first time they had seen this kind of flying tool. Whether it was the exterior or the interior, it had a metallic texture. It was completely different from the flying tools in the East Continent. Chapter 60-69. Hao Zili and others had been lucky enough to see flying tools before. Most of them were in the shape of spaceships or flying cars, and the interior was very ordinary. It was incomparable to Lin Yi's flying saucer with a 360-degree panoramic monitoring screen. After seeing this flying saucer, Hao Zili and others were more in awe of Lin Yi. They even felt that it was not a bad thing to follow Lin Yi wholeheartedly. When Lin Yi left the North Island, the Okuda Dam fleet was on the way to the North Island. If Lin Yi could stay on the North Island for a day or two, he might be able to go to the Middle Island with them. Without Lin Yi on the ship, Kai Zhongyang, Hou Guanqi, and others hardly went out. On the contrary, those who didn't get along with Lin Yi were very active, such as the Zheng family, Wei Jiading, and so on. On the deck of the ancient battleship, Wei Jiading, who had just attended a small trade fair, saw Hong Zhong alone. He immediately stepped forward and said proudly, "Hong Zhong, you went to the far North Island this time, but you didn't buy anything useful. I really don't know how you became the shopkeeper of the North Island. It's a waste of the Chamber of Commerce's resources. When I return to the Middle Island, I will definitely impeach you, a person who doesn't do anything without doing anything. Do whatever you want. Now get out of my way. I don't want to see people like you." Hong Zhong didn't show any kindness to him, and his eyes showed undisguised contempt. Wei Jiading opposed Hong Zhong in public, which damaged the reputation of the Hong's Chamber of Commerce. Then he was humiliated by Hong Zhong and asked to leave. The two basically fell out, so there was no need to pretend to be polite. Wei Jiading was a little stunned. Hong Zhong's strength made him a little afraid. If there was a conflict, although he had two guards on his side, he had no confidence to deal with Hong Zhong. "Hong Zhong, don't be too arrogant. Is the ancient battleship your family? I like to be here. What can you do to me?" Wei Jiading said stubbornly. In fact, people with discerning eyes could see that this guy was just a wolf in sheep's clothing. If Hong Zhong stared at him, he would immediately shrink back. Hong Zhong glanced at Wei Jiading with disdain. It was really shameful to argue with such a person. So he just snorted and turned to look at the sea, ignoring Wei Jiading. Wei Jiading secretly breathed a sigh of relief in his heart, but he didn't dare to continue to provoke him. He laughed out loud twice and said that he would wait for him in the Middle Island. Then he turned around and left with his guards. Not far away, Zheng Tianqing saw this scene and a thoughtful expression appeared on his face. Then he chuckled and followed Wei Jiading into the cabin area. Then he quickly caught up with Wei Jiading and whispered a few words in his ear. Wei Jiading paused for a second before smiling. He pulled Zheng Tianqing's arm into his room and started talking in private. As for what they talked about, whether it was directed at Lin Yi or Hong Zhong, or both of them at the same time, no one knew. Controlling the flying saucer, Lin Yi naturally didn't know what was happening on the ancient battleship. All his attention was on Han Jingjing, and he didn't know whether the spirit-gathering branch he had painstakingly obtained would work or not. The closer they got to the Middle Island, the more nervous Lin Yi became. If the spirit-gathering branch couldn't save Han Jingjing, what should he do? This flying tool is so powerful. It's at least 2 to 3 times faster than me. If I use it to return to the East Continent, I can get there in a few days. Fei Yi was extremely excited. A flying tool that was faster than him was definitely a rare treasure. Therefore, he began to take the initiative to speak and forgot his shyness. Don't be surprised. You don't know how powerful the boss is. Follow the boss, and you'll benefit in the future. Languza glanced at Fei Yi with disdain, but he was secretly happy. It seemed that being the boss of a follower was not bad. It seemed that he had to ask the boss to take more followers in the future. Fei Yi immediately became shy again. He bowed slightly to Languza and fell silent again. Brother Lan is very knowledgeable. Please take care of us in the future. May I know where Boss Lin bought this flying tool? If it's possible, I want to buy one too. Hao Zili hurriedly smiled and asked about the origin of the flying saucer. He really wanted to buy it, but he didn't know how many spiritual jades it would cost for such a high-grade flying tool. Where did you buy it? Stop joking. This was personally refined by Boss. He's the only one in the world. Even if you have a spiritual jade mine, you can't buy it. Languza raised his head proudly. In order to create a glorious image of Boss Lin Yi, this guy directly gave Han Jingjing's credit to Lin. Boss and sister-in-law were a family anyway, so what was the difference? Sure enough, Hao Zili and the others were shocked when they heard this. The way they looked at Lin Yi had completely changed. A mystic second-level alchemist, and also a blacksmith who could create such a high-grade flying tool. His strength was also so strong. This was simply against the heavens. Lin Yi was too lazy to explain. He didn't care if he had a halo or two on him, but it would be safer for Han Jingjing to hide in the dark, in case someone coveted her talent and did something dangerous. All of you quiet down. Languza, if you have time, why don't you cultivate properly? Do you think that you're invincible now? Lin Yi controlled the flying saucer and said without turning his head. Although his tone was flat, several people in the cabin immediately shut up. Languza chuckled softly and took out a large piece of meat from his storage pouch. He cooked it briefly in the flying saucer's small kitchen and generously shared a little with his 3 little brothers. Then he minded his own business and ate heartily. At a time like this, the person Languza was most grateful for was Han Jingjing. Only she would think of building a small kitchen in the flying saucer. If Lin Yi was the one who made the flying saucer, he wouldn't have made something so useless. For a foodie like him, just this point alone made Han Jingjing's flying saucer the best of all flying tools, even if it was higher level or faster. At first, Hao Zili and the others were still a little confused. Lin Yi let Languza cultivate. Why did this guy make food? Moreover, the rough cooking method also made them very resistant. They were really afraid that this guy would suddenly become hostile, so they didn't dare to refuse. When they tasted the first bite, they basically opened their mouths with the feeling of eating poison, but after they really ate it, they understood why Languza made food. Chapter 60-70. Especially Fei Yi, who was transformed from a flying spirit beast. Although the effect of eating sea beasts' meat was not as good as that of Languza, it was not much worse. On the other hand, Hao Zili and Min Huichen could not say that it was a waste, but the energy that humans could absorb in this way was too little. It was not even 1% of what Languza could absorb. Even so, the two of them still felt that a piece of meat was enough to match their training time for 2 hours. After all, Languza was using the meat of an earth-opening stage sea beast. At first, they thought that it was no different from eating poison. However, the 3 of them immediately devoured their portions in unison. Then, they looked at Languza eagerly, hoping that this fellow would share more with them. Unfortunately, in front of them was the foodie Languza. Sharing a little was enough to make him feel distressed for a long time. One more? Dream on. Under the gaze of the 3 people, Languza ate the big piece of meat at a speed 10 times faster than the speed of the wind, not giving them a chance to speak. In terms of eating speed, Hao Zili and the other 2 added together with Langujabi still only had a fighting strength of 5. After he had finished eating, Languza even glanced at the 3 people who were dumbfounded. Then, he sat down and began to refine the meat. He had only eaten normal food for fun and to satisfy his appetite. It did not matter how much he ate. However, he had to refine and absorb the meat of an Earth expansion stage sea beast properly. Hao Zili and the other 2 looked at each other and could only sit down. In any case, the food that they had just eaten was still very good for their training. Time in training was the most worthless. When they opened their eyes again, Lin Yi had already controlled the flying saucer to fly to the sea near Middle Island. In the distant sea level, there was a faint black dot, which was Middle Island. With the speed of the flying saucer, they could reach it in 1 or 2 minutes. We're almost there. Everyone get ready. Lin Yi turned to look at Fei. I will put away the flying saucer in a while. At that time, you will change back to your original body and take us to Middle Island. Is that okay? No problem. Don't worry, Boss Lin. Fei Yi quickly stood up and nodded shyly. Now, he felt that it was really good to follow Lin Yi. He could even take out the flesh of an earth-opening realm sea beast as food. It could be seen that Lin Yi was very powerful. Therefore, Fei Yi was quite happy to have a chance to perform. Hao Zili and the others understood that Lin Yi did not want to expose the existence of the flying saucer, lest others covet it. In fact, in their opinion, Lin Yi was a little too cautious. Middle Island was not like East Continent. Apart from those old monsters who lived in seclusion, others might not be strong enough to rob Lin Yi. But since Lin Yi had already made up his mind, they naturally wouldn't say anything. They didn't want to make Lin Yi unhappy, and the day of detoxification would be even longer. The outline of Middle Island was already revealed. Lin Yi stopped the flying saucer high in the sky and opened the hatch to let Fei Yi go out first. He transformed into his original body of Mountain Eagle and flew below the flying saucer. The rest of them landed on Fei Yi's back one by one. Lin Yi was the last to come out. He put away the flying saucer. After he sat down, Fei Yi spread his wings and flew towards Middle Island. After a while, Fei Yi landed in the outer area of Middle Island. Except for the sea beasts, there were no restrictions on other races, so no one would care about them. Only when they entered the central area would they be strictly interrogated. Strangers would also be secretly monitored. However, Lin Yi was also a person of status in Middle Island. Naturally, he would not be troubled in this aspect. Because he was the one who brought them here, Languza and the others were not interrogated. However, if they caused trouble in Middle Island in the future, the people of Middle Island would still look for Lin. As soon as he arrived at Tiandan Pavilion, Tian Chan and Sydney had already come out to greet him. He didn't know where they got the news, but it seemed that they were not completely useless in the past few years in Middle Island. Lin, you're back. Did you buy the Spirit Gathering branch? Tian Chan didn't have time to exchange pleasantries and asked directly. Of course, otherwise why would I come back first? Lin Yi smiled faintly and nodded to the two as a greeting. Hello, sisters-in-law. Languza stepped forward and greeted with his fists. This guy was used to Lin Yi's female confidants popping up from time to time. Anyway, it was definitely right to call them sisters-in-law when he saw them. Last time when Lin Yi returned to Middle Island, he didn't let Languza come out and directly put him in the sea. Therefore, this was the first time he saw Tian Chan and Lin Yi. Hao Zili and the others followed suit and quickly greeted with their fists. Tian Chan and Sydney both blushed, but no one had any intention of denying it. These are my new underlings. You guys can get to know them later. How is Jingjing? Have there been any changes? Lin Yi was not in the mood to introduce them one by one. Now he was most concerned about Han Jingjing. If her situation worsened, it would be troublesome. No, Jingjing is still the same. She is exactly the same as when you went to the secular world. It seems that she is still in the secular world and hasn't returned. She doesn't seem to have encountered any danger for the time being. Tian Chan nodded slightly to Languza and the others and quickly answered Lin Yi's question. Then she turned around and led him to the second floor. That's good. Lin Yi was also slightly relieved. He turned to Languza and instructed, Languza, take them to walk around nearby. I'll come find you guys when I'm done. Spus. Languza agreed readily. He really wanted to see Han Jingjing. After all, he already knew her in the secular world. However, Boss seemed to not want Hao Zili and the others to see Han Jingjing. As the number one underling of Boss, of course, he could understand Boss's intentions. Hao Zili and the others had no objections. After bidding farewell to Lin Yi and the others, they followed Languza out. Lin Yi led Tian Chan and Sydney up to Han Jingjing's room on the second floor. She was exactly the same as before. There was no change at all. Although this wasn't a good thing, it was at least not a bad thing. Lin Yi quickly walked forward and placed the soul-gathering branch in Han Jingjing's hand. Then he began to pray in secret, hoping that the soul-gathering branch would be effective. After the soul-gathering branch was placed in Han Jingjing's hand, it began to faintly circulate. Gradually, the light spread to her body and enveloped her entire body. Lin Yi's anticipation grew. The soul-gathering branch's situation should be working. However, he did not know if Han Jingjing's essence soul would return to her body because of this.